clouds start to gather over New Road, more ways than one. Well, it's not been an encouraging morning for Worcestershire, Malcolm, I'm afraid. They've slipped for 20-2 in the 8th over after Lancashire took up the option of asking the home side to bat first, and they have prized out 2 key wickets as well. Daryl Mitchell and Callum Ferguson both out. Mitchell caught behind from a ball that just left him a little bit off the pitch from Graham Onions, out for just 4. That was 13 for 1 in the 4th over, and we've just seen Callum Ferguson stretching forward to one that might just have kept a little bit low from Onions, hitting him about shin high right in front. It did hit his bat afterwards, but it was definitely pad first. The Australian gone for just a single, and Worcestershire losing 2 huge wickets early on here. Josh Dell on his recall to the side has looked composed and assured. He has 10 and he's played very well. Ricki Wessels, who's under pressure in terms of his form recently, he's got a single off the mark to his first delivery, but Worcestershire struggling early on here. They're 20 for 2 in the 8th over. Also trying to find the excellent website I found in the Middlesex game, which obviously I meant to bookmark, obviously I didn't do it, which has got video on it from behind the bowler's arm.
Onions in, final ball of the over, and Dell once again defends that out on the leg side, no run.
Unless you've got access, Scott, have you, to a helpful site like that, have you?
Are you looking to find a replay of the LBW?
Yeah. Well, just so we can get a better idea of, because we're on a bit of an angle here, aren't we? And there was one in the last game that definitely gave us that option.
There is the live feed here, isn't there?
Yeah, the only issue with that is it tends to be from square leg.
Oh, right, that's tricky.
Which is not always helpful. I just don't know why. It's not coming up, anyway.
Well, Lancashire are tweeting little videos of every wicket that falls, so we'll see if they when they pop that next video. They've got one already of the little edge behind. So they'll check on that website. Here's Anderson over the wicket bowling, flicked by Ricki Wessels pretty emphatically. That's 4 runs, I think. Oh no, Davis has come round from deep backward square to get there. And Ricki Wessels restricted to just the 2, so he moves to 3. So 22 for 2. We're in the 9th. Wessels 3, Dell on 10. 2 wickets for Graham Onions, Daryl Mitchell and Callum Ferguson, the 2 men out. It's been a lively start for Lancashire, and we're fortunate to have some play because rain has pretty much decimated the other games. If Anderson comes back into Wessels, punching to mid-off, and there's no run. The game between South Africa and West Indies in Southampton, that's been delayed because of rain. In Division 1, no play at all before lunch between Surrey and Yorkshire. I think that game's at Guildford. Kent against Somerset, again no play before lunch due to rain. And Nottinghamshire against Hampshire, again delayed to the start of that fixture, again due to rain. And Leicestershire against Middlesex, nothing at all there. Again start delayed because of rain. Anderson bowls and it's driven by Wessels straight to mid-off, and there's no run. So just this fixture here and the game at Chesterley Street, Durham against Northants, are the only 2 games that are currently see any play, either in the World Cup or Division 1 or Division 2 of the County Championship. So
Durham 12 for 2 early on in that match too, which is a shame if you look at the fixtures for Division 2 in particular.
Anderson over the wicket bowls to Wessels, and the appeal for LBW is gone. Well, Wessels shaping to play it leg side again, just working it through mid-wicket, but ball thuds into his pad, and the umpire had very little hesitation. Up went the finger almost straight away. Anderson gets his first wicket of the day, and Worcestershire lose their 3rd. And it is Ricki Wessels the man out, LBW, after bowling of Jimmy Anderson for 3. 22 for 3 in the 9th.
Lost 2 wickets in 9 balls, Worcestershire, and they are already in lots of trouble. That looked like it just nipped back into Ricki Wessels, perhaps a slight misjudgment, thinking that was going to pass outside the off stump, but it cut back into him. And again, the umpires haven't hung around, have they, with their decisions on the appeals for LBW. That was straight up again from Rob Bailey. 22 for 3, so Wessels' poor form continues. It's now scores of 0, 6, 0, 7, 0 and 3 in his last 6 innings.
I don't really read like batsmen's figures, do they?
No, well, this is Worcestershire's problem, isn't it, really? Worcestershire's batting has not been quite up to it in the last game or so.
I spoke to Alex Gidman on Thursday, and I did ask him about the batting and was it a concern, and he said no. So perhaps ask him again.
Well, I know,
but I think, to be fair, what he said was obviously they'd scored in the first 2 games, you know, up at Leicestershire, and have scored runs since. The Lancashire game overall was a low-scoring game, and he wasn't troubled by the batting of Worcestershire. And I know you spoke to him and asked about Mitchell and his form this season, but he's not getting out in silly circumstances. He said, so he wasn't worried about that. But also he was saying there's still the early season English wickets, was the point he made again. But I think, you know, looking at some of the form of the Worcestershire batsmen, you'd be hard pushed to not be a little bit concerned, even so, you know, given some of the games.
Anderson in and bowls to Ross Whiteley. The ball is taken down the leg side by Dane Villas, and there's no run.
Yeah, it's kind of a two-edged problem for Worcestershire, because the players that are in the side at the moment are struggling, and there's no one really hammering down the door to get into the side either. So the problem is a little bit sort of, it's compounding itself a touch. Okay, Dell's got a big 100 against Lancashire in the second team competition earlier on this season.
Final ball of the over, Anderson to Whiteley, flicked off the pads and almost taken by Villas. Stopped, I think, what will be a leg by as Davis comes around from fine leg. Yeah, the umpire just confirming that deflected off the pad. So leg by adds takes the total to 23 for 3. Whiteley remains on 0 and Dell on 10. That's the end of the 9th over.
But yeah, there's no one who's sticking their hand up saying I have to be picked on weight of runs, and that's not a great situation for a head coach to have. I mean, Brett D'Oliveira hasn't been in great form. He's not really in the picture. Ollie Westbury isn't really staking a huge claim. Alex Milton is another option possibly to play as a specialist batsman. Got that brilliant 100 on his championship debut last season, stayed in the side as a specialist batsman. But he's not able to force his way in at the moment either. So it's a problem, it really is. And what do you do? Here's Onions bowls outside the off stump of what left-handed Whiteley leaves alone. I guess from Alex Gidman's point of view, all he can do at the moment really is just hope that the form comes back. We know how fickle that can be, and these players have done it before. They're good players, obviously, and he's just got to hope that the hard work that they're clearly putting in does pay off, and things just slot back into place. But obviously you have to take into consideration the conditions here this morning and the quality of the bowling, certainly. As the left-handed Whiteley comes forward, he punches this out to mid-wicket, but there's no run.
Yeah, I think you would back that top. I mean, you look at the top 5 there for Worcestershire. You would back that at some point to come good, wouldn't you? There's just too much quality there. I mean, Mitchell obviously has had just a perennial run of runs, hasn't he? He's been in good form for about 10 years, hasn't he, Darryl Mitchell?
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell's got more than enough credits in the bank, I think, over the last goodness knows how long.
Then you chuck in Ferguson, Wessels, Whiteley. I mean, he's a good player.
There's Whiteley is having a look at this next one that flashes across him, leaves alone through to Villas, and there's no run. 23 for 3.
You've got to hope it will come good at some point.
Yeah, you've got a middle order at the moment. That's where the bulk of the runs are coming from. Whiteley and Ben Cox are the only 2 players that have scored over 200 runs in 4 games, 4 championship games. So, also as Gidman said, they're the ones, you know, he's pleased for them that they're seeing the results, because they're putting in a lot of work behind the scenes. Not that the others aren't, obviously, but it is paying off for them. Like you say, it's a patch of form that will hopefully turn around.
Onions past the umpire and bowls. Whiteley is covering up on middle stump on the back foot. Nice high elbow as he punches that back up the pitch to Onions, and there's no run. 2 for 10 from Graham Onions from a couple of balls left of his 5th over. Yeah, they had a couple of days off, didn't they, the squad as a whole, after the Middlesex game, and then they've been back on it since the middle of the week, really, with some serious netting for the bowlers, for the batsmen, as Onions past the umpire, bowls on the check drive, comes White. They're going to get a single here. There's a throw at the end where Dell is running to, but it doesn't hit the stumps from Jimmy Anderson. They're through quite comfortably. Had it hit the stumps, I think he was in anyway, Dell. 24 for 3. And I think it's fair to say that really the Middlesex game was the first game really that Worcestershire were off the pace. And actually, having seen the result in their next game, Middlesex, how they were hammered out of sight against Sussex, that was a real surprise. As Onions bowls to Dell, who has a huge stride forward, bat high above his head, ignores it through to Villas, and there's no run. The end of the over. Yeah, because Middlesex, taking up Scott's point there, you look at the Worcestershire card, the top 5 there, just on paper, and you think, well, more often than not, that's going to get you runs. And the Middlesex side last week was fantastic on paper, the names there, but hadn't lived up to expectation necessarily. And then they absolutely came firing up, particularly their bowlers as well, were superb. And then it was a real surprise to see them beaten so comprehensively at Lords against Sussex in their last match. So the match here against Sussex next week will be very tasty.
Anderson in once more from the Douglas end. Whiteley lets that go past, no run. There's been some interesting results in the Division 2 so far. And certainly, like you were saying, there's perhaps more teams in contention to take those 3 places than you would have thought pre-season.
Well, 3 spots up for grabs this year, and yeah, why not? Most of the division will be casting their eye on their chances.
Whiteley waits once more for Anderson, who's in, and Whiteley just brings the bat down on this and goes out on the offside, no run. Anderson makes his way back to his mark, just waiting for the ball to be polished for him.
Because Middlesex, who played so well here, they got battered in the following up game, but they're 8th at the moment, with 45 points.
Anderson again, and Whiteley just seems to pull his bat inside that in the end, and seemed to nip through with a little bit of extra pace through to Villas behind the stumps. No run.
Lancashire obviously top, 85 points. They're 11 clear of Glamorgan in second. Sussex are third, a point behind Glamorgan. Then Derby fourth. There's a bit of a gap. There's a 14-point gap between Derbyshire in fourth and the automatic promotion spots. Then come Worcestershire and Gloucestershire separated by a point.
Anderson in again, and he's out. Whiteley is out. Hamid has caught him. The ball's just flown up into the slips. Completely lost the sight of that, but Whiteley is out, and Worcestershire are now 4 down. They're just 24 this morning. Inside the first hour, the ball just, ballooned up, and Hamid with the catch.
Yeah, it took a big thick leading edge, that, didn't it? He's gone to try and whip it through kind of mid-wicket. Quite an aggressive looking shot, but thick leading edge, the ball loops up to Hamid, and that, as you say, so it was a pretty routine catch from Hamid. It just fell nicely into his hands, didn't really have to move, dropped about waist height to him. Pretty routine catch. It's easy from up here, isn't it? But that's a slightly, risky shot to be playing when you're 23 for 3 in the first 50 minutes. It's quite an aggressive looking shot, that, and in the end it's been his downfall.
Like you say, because of the the edge it took. You're almost looking, following the line of the ball, thinking where's he got hold of that one. As invariably, if Ross Whiteley does connect with it,
it does. It
it's
leaves
out
the ground.
It's not where you then expect the ball to go.
Crikey, it's a lively start. I mean, look at Durham. Durham score up at Northants. They're 18 for 4 as well inside the first dozen overs there in the game up to the North East. Not perhaps a morning necessarily for batting, but it's a terrific start this by Lancashire, obviously, and what Worcestershire are up against are two high-class operators, one of the best in the world in Anderson, who's being supported by Onions, who's one of the best in the division, if not still one of the best on the county circuit. So it's a genuinely high-class start from two of the best that you'll see in the county circuit.
Yeah, I think we have to sort of see it through that lens as well, don't we, a little bit, as Lancashire inevitably strengthen their slipped cordon here for the new man, poor old Ed Barnard, facing Jimmy Anderson. Ideal conditions for him and Onions.
Barnard waits for Anderson and just lets that one go through to the last behind the stumps as he raises his bat. Barnard wouldn't have been expecting to come in inside the first hour, and facing Jimmy Anderson.
So yeah, they've been a touch unlucky, really. I mean, yes, a bit of a forcing stroke from Ross Whiteley there to take that leading edge, perhaps, but the rest of them have not had much.
Anderson in again. Barnard just gets a bat on this, and but no run taken as he plays it out into the offside.
The rest of the batsmen, have been undone by some terrific bowling, really.
The end of that over, 24 for 4 Worcestershire. Anderson 2 for 8 from his 6 overs this morning. Certainly been pleased with his start to the game. As you say, it's a very, very impressive Lancashire lineup, but one that Worcestershire were expecting. They faced both of them up at Old Trafford, and they knew what would be coming their way this morning.
6 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 8 Jimmy Anderson, 5 overs, no maidens, 2 for 11 for Onions.
Here he comes, Onions, in and bowls to Dell, and that's just worked nicely off his pad. That's a good looking shot, that, for a couple. It was clipped out to square leg. This one moves on to 26 for 4. There's a lot to admire about Ed Barnard. Impressive start to his first class career, and this is a rather steep challenge now for these two young Worcestershire batsmen to try and just piece something together, try and get the innings out of a pretty sizable hole at this stage. Just try and somehow stop the fall of the wickets as Dell gets more runs behind square on the leg side, brings fine leg into play. I think it's a couple to his total. He moves up to 14 now. The score moves on to 28 for 4.
Yeah, he played well in the first match of the season, Ed Barnard. Got runs and wickets, unbeaten 53, and he took 3 for 40 in the win against Leicestershire. But as we know, that was a long time ago now. But he struggled a bit with both bat and ball since then. Scores of 0 and 18 up at Old Trafford, and 6 and 11 here against Middlesex.
And his balls to Dell, who's playing forward and defending to mid-off, no run.
I'm not sure he's exactly been the figures that he's produced as a bowler have done him justice, actually. I think he's bowled a little bit better than the 1 for 14 in the first innings against Middlesex and the 1 for 41 in the second innings. I think he bowled a little bit better than that, but certainly would like to improve the runs and the wickets. He's got plenty of time here, if not necessarily the right sort of conditions.
3 slips in the gully weight as Onions over the wicket, balls to Dell, who's popping it into the onside, no run.
And it's been Worcestershire's middle to lower order, the powerhouse, the hitters that have served them so well, particularly in one-day cricket, but also in red ball stuff. But usually when there's been a bit of a platform laid in front of them, this is a tall order for them to come in and try and rebuild now. 28 for 4. Some comfort in the fact that it's not the worst score in the championship this morning.
Onions to Dell. That's down the leg side, Lancashire claim. Just glanced off the glove perhaps and taken by Villas. But bit of kidology, I think, by Lancashire captain and wicket keeper in the 3 slip fielders. Nothing from Onions.
The Durham at 18 for 4. So that is of some comfort to Worcestershire, I suspect. Not much, but they're doing worse. There is a side faring worse than Worcestershire this morning.
Onions to complete his 6th over of the morning. Bowling. That's a good looking shot. That's the best shot of the day. It's been few and far between, but Dell getting forward and punching the ball underneath the body of Alex Davis, and unfortunately for Dell, agonisingly, it just slows and stops maybe an inch or two away from the boundary rope. It deserved forward that. It was a good shot, driven firmly down the ground, but he comes back, I think, 3 in the end. It's the end of the over, so Onions has now bowled 6 overs. 2 for 18. Dell's moved on to 17, and Worcestershire are 31 for 4. Anderson 6 overs, 2 for 8.
Yeah, nice looking stroke from Dell. That's the second time he's. Well, I thought that was 4 actually. I prematurely put that down as the boundary, so I'll remind myself not to add another one if he does hit another 4. But like his on drive, impressive that he hasn't tried to hit it too hard. He's just kind of leant on it and just stroked it away. This is a really encouraging start here for young Josh Dell. 17 as he faces Jimmy Anderson. They want to try and get a run here, but they can't. It's a good diving stop by Rob Jones to his right at Gully. Well, that might just snake past him and maybe be at least a single down towards third man. But yeah, 17 from 32 deliveries from him now, and apart from that little flick down the leg side, which the Lancashire fielders led by their captain Dane Villas, a big appeal to the umpire to try and unsettle the batsman more than anything else, I think. It's the only real alarm he's had as Anderson bowls to him. Again, a big stride forward, and they pick up a run here. That's a misfield from Graham Onions at mid-off, and through they come. We should have stopped that, but unable to. Bonus run there for Dell. He'll take those all day long. Gets away from Jimmy Anderson momentarily. 4 slips and a gully. 32 for 4. Mitchell for 4, Ferguson for 1, Wessels for 3, Whiteley for 1, the men out. Anderson bowls full this time, and Barnard punches him nicely through the covers. That should beat Onions to the rope. It does. Not the quickest outfield here, for obvious reasons, but Ed Barnard is away. The 3rd Worcestershire batsman to get off the mark with a 4 this morning. Nice drive through the covers. Plenty of space there, obviously, with the aggressive slip cordon and close catches, so there is some acreage out there if he can find the gaps. He did there. 36 for 4. Sun pokes out from behind the clouds here. Anderson bowls. That's a nice response. So Barnard doesn't quite know whether to go forward or back to that one. In the end, he sort of rocks forward, and that flies past his outside edge through to the keeper.
Pretty sharp, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, that was a bit of a chaser there from Jimmy Anderson, just to remind the young batsman exactly who he is.
There's a little look as well, just as he came down the wicket.
A long rub on the side of his trousers with the ball for Jimmy Anderson. He's ready to go now. Arms pumping past the umpire. That familiar action. That keeps it a bit low actually, outside the off stump. Back goes Barnard to that, but that passes between under knee height actually.
That was very different from the ball before.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Need one of those Hawkeye predictions, didn't you, for those last 2 balls?
Just to see the difference.
See the difference, work it out, yeah.
Different line.
But that was significant, yeah. Down go the 4 slips as Anderson runs towards us now, and dabbing down short onto the offside is Barnard. They think about maybe coming through for a single. Some words from Jimmy Anderson by the look of it as well to Ed Barnard. He's still chatting. Barnard's doing his best just to keep tunnel vision and just talk up to his partner and have a chat. And Anderson had a right old chunter at him there. End of the over. 7 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 13 for Anderson. Worcestershire 36 for 4 at the end of the 13th over.
Perhaps he was just inquiring if he'd bought his new book. Or
you want to sign copy?
Yeah, would you like a signed copy? I've got some with me.
Yeah.
I brought them on the bus.
I've got a boot full of books. You can have a signed copy. First bowling change is Saqib Mahmood replacing Innings.
Returning to the side, isn't he, Mahmood? Born in Birmingham, raised in the northwest though.
He's in now to Dell, who just shapes for a cut on the cut shot, but it's been given a wide as Mahmood fails to get the right line with his first delivery of the day.
6 overs, 2 for 18 in Graham Onion's opening spell. I wonder how many more overs Jimmy Anderson will get in this opening spell. 7 overs so far. Conditions are pretty much perfect for him though.
Mahmood makes his way in once more, and Dell just bends down, keeps the bat high and lets this one go past, and this one went past at about head height. There certainly seems to be a bit of a mixed bounce in this pitch today. As you mentioned, Dan, it was the pitch they used yesterday for the women's ODI England against West Indies. It's been a bit of...
We have seen a bit of up and down bounce,
yeah,
haven't we, occasionally?
Mahmood turns and in from the new road end as Dell waits and just on his toes and defends that one down into the wicket. No run.
Well, Scott has left us to update listeners to BBC Radio Lancashire at 12 o'clock. BBC Radio Hereford and Worcester's FM listeners will be joining us shortly. Not good news, 37 for 4.
No, I wish they hadn't come for an update.
Stay with Malcolm. Apart from Josh Dell, that is this morning's
That's the story for Worcestershire.
Beaming good news.
18 from 35 this morning.
Played very well too. Hasn't looked in any trouble at all so far. The one Worcestershire batsman that hasn't. He's had to do some running repairs. His tyre shoelace, but he's ready now.
And a couple of glorious shots down the ground. Mahmood in again once more in the sunshine, and again high bat from Dell as he just defends that out on the offside. No run.
Yeah, he's a tall lad.
How tall is he? Do we know?
I would say.
What's your guess?
I don't know, but my guess would be he's at least 6'2". I'd say possibly 6'4", maybe 6'2" to 6'4". I'm giving myself a couple of inches there.
6'3" will go in that. He waits once more. Mahmood's in, and once again he just defends this, and it dribbles out down on the wicket. No run. High arms, as you say, he's a taller player. Josh Dell.
See what happens when I type Josh Dell height.
Do you think? I'm not sure whether he'll be that well known to have a page with his height. It's not on his cricket page. I don't think it's in Playfair, is it anymore? Mahmood in once more, and just a inside edge on that as Dell tries to defend it, but it goes out behind him. Backward of point. No run though.
Well, no, I can't. Well, the same website is giving some players' heights. Josh Tongue 6'3", but doesn't give Josh Dell's height.
No, it doesn't give it in the trusty Playfair either. It does.
But I would
some
say
players,
in that
but
order.
Not him. Tall. We'll go with tall. Mahmood, final ball of his first over, and another edge on that as it goes out on the leg side, but no run. Just one with the wide from that over. As they have a look at Mahmood, who in the Royal London Cup matches earlier this season. Looked impressive for Lancashire. And he's been on to replace Graham Onions, but Anderson's going to continue from the Diglas end this morning. As you see, 7 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 13 for him. And he's enjoyed his morning. He's going to enjoy bowling at Ed Barnard again.
Yes, resuming their battle from the previous over. Here's Anderson then, past the umpire and bowls, and down the leg side. And there's no run, 37 for 4. So Anderson is going to continuing here. I mean, he's the sort of bowler that could bowl with easily 10, 11 overs in the spell, couldn't he? Whether he'll get that many, let's wait and see. A morning of struggle for Worcestershire here. They're 37 for 4. They've lost Darryl Mitchell for 4, Callum Ferguson for 1, Ricki Wessels for 3, and Ross Whiteley for 1. In the face of some excellent probing bowling with the new ball from Jimmy Anderson and Graham Onions. Both of them have picked up 2 wickets each, but the shining light of good news for Worcestershire has been the form of Josh Dell, recalled to the side for this match, and he has 18 of 39 deliveries with a couple of very elegant boundaries. He's shown excellent judgment, and he's the only Worcestershire player at the moment who hasn't looked in any trouble at all. He's going well. Ed Barnard has 4. Worcestershire 37 for 4 in the 15th over. Anderson turning at the top of his mark and sprinting towards us now. Barnard waits bat high and ignores a ball outside his off stump. Through to Villas, and there's no run. Yes, it was a long conversation between, well, I say conversation, it was a one-way situation. I don't think Barnard was saying much back to Jimmy Anderson the end of the last over. As Anderson bowls, so dabbed down to backward point by Barnard, and there's no run. Rob Jones scuttles to his right to field. Anderson unhappy with Barnard casting through the covers before, but hasn't given him anything to drive. Since, not a surprise. 37 for 4 as Anderson bowls. That's a beautiful delivery again. There was some extra vim in that. Took off from just short of a good length. Barnard, I suppose in the end, nowhere near it. We're not behind the bowler's arm, behind the batsman really. We can't really see how far away he was from that, but that really zipped through, and some extravagant movement as well, no doubt. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Barnard was nowhere near getting a touch on that. Terrific stuff again from Anderson. Last ball of his 8th over. Here he comes. Past the umpire, bowls, and this is put away nicely by Barnard on his toes. I'm not quite sure it's going to reach the fence. Jones is going to get there first. He slides, scoops it back, and in comes the throw. They're back for 2 runs to end the over. I'm not sure there's going to be any chat at the end of this. Barnard lingers in his ground as if to try and catch Anderson's eye. But
he had a look over, didn't he?
He did, definitely had a look over. Anderson's just whacked his cap on, and now he's putting his jumper on. He's got his head down and he's moving into his position for the next over. 39 for 4. Anderson 8 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 15. Might be the end of his spell, I'm not sure. But Barnard with that couple goes up to 6. 39 for 4.
Here's Mahmood for Lancashire in bowls. It's a wide delivery which is left by Dell and through to Villas. No run. Yeah, it could be the end of the spell. That couldn't be 8 overs for Anderson. He did bowl a spell that lasted 12 overs earlier this season, and he admitted afterwards that wasn't ideal. But he was bowling so well, I don't think the captain was reluctant to take him off. But I'm not so sure that... actually James Whittaker's here, isn't he, today? So he's keeping a beady eye on how Anderson is being managed, I suspect. As Mahmood comes over the wicket again and bowls to Dell, who's defending into the offside. Around Mr. Croft, who's at extra cover. No run, 39 for 4. Dell on 18, Barnard on 6. An hour and 10 minutes gone on the opening day. And it's quite pleasant at the minute here in Worcester. It's quite, looks the picture, isn't it, with the cathedral in the background, the flag fluttering, and one or two kind of brighter patches of sky, but the fear is that this might well be the best part of the day, if the forecast is to be true. But Lancashire have enjoyed the morning so far. Mahmood back into Dell, onto his toes, and defends to mid-on, where Anderson fields, and there is no run.
Well, Anderson at the end of that last over downed an imaginary pint in about 3 seconds towards the dressing room, signalling he'd like a drink. So maybe that's the sign that his spell is at an end. Worcestershire will certainly hope so.
Yeah, it's a bowling attack with, again, it's 3 frontline seamers really, and then the all-round option of Bohannon. Mahmood back into Dell, who's nicely forward, defending, no run. They've got Mahmood, Onions and Anderson as their 3 seam bowlers, and then they will use Josh Bohannon with a medium pace, and then they've got some spin options with Livingston in particular, who bowled quite a lot last week. Liam Livingston, he's off spinners, so again it's an attack where Lancashire this season have gone in mainly with 4 frontline seam bowlers, but just the 3, so they'll rotate between Mahmood, Onions and Anderson and get some overs out of Josh Bohannon and Liam Livingston too. Dell clips this one into the onside and leaves it mid-wicket to field, and there's no run.
It was a frustrating afternoon, wasn't it, on the final day, Scott, against Leicestershire, batted out the whole day. They must have fancied their chances of wrapping up that game, didn't they? Wouldn't have thought.
I think they probably did.
Yeah.
There's slightly contrasting views. I spoke to Tom Bailey, and he said, yeah, I think we can win it. And I spoke to Richard Gleeson, he went, oh, I think it might be tough. It's a little difference of opinion as to what would happen on the 4th and final day. I think basically the 2 things that stopped a result and a victory for Lancashire, the move balls to Dell, playing forward, but the ball got past him and through to the keeper, no run. It's the end of the over, 39 for 4, was the fact that they lost 2 sessions on day 2 because of the rain. So that's taken a lot of time out of the game, and even though they bowled Leicestershire out and in force to follow on, the pitch did flatten out a little bit, got a touch more placid, a little easier to bat on. And credit where it's due to Leicestershire, because second time round, on the final day, you've still got a pretty impressive bowling attack, and you're under pressure, you're trying to save the game, and they did that really well. So I think the combination of the fact that Leicestershire showed some good spirit second time round batting, pitch got a bit easier, and ultimately I think Lancashire just lost a bit of time because of the rain. But yeah, it was a slightly frustrating 4th and final day really.
Anderson's carrying on here.
Yeah, he's
That imaginary pint. Yeah.
He's in from the Diglis end to Barnard once more, and he just puts out on the offside, behind point, no run.
It's all the refreshment he needs.
Imaginary. That's the
he's that
quality.
good.
He's that good.
He's that good.
Can carry on. I don't think anyone brought him a drink in the end.
No, they didn't. I don't think they did, no.
It's when you're furiously signalling to the half man and they're just ignoring.
If Jimmy Anderson can't get a drink when he wants to, then
What's
nobody
the world
can.
come to?
What's going on?
No respect. He's in once more from the Diglis end. Barnard high back waits and tries to turn that away on the leg side, but through to Villas and no run.
And also Lancashire will know here that already that potentially one end is open. They've still obviously got Dell, who's played very, very well for his 18 specialist batsmen, but they're in the all-rounders now, so they have been since Whiteley came in. But Barnard in at the moment, Parnell to come next, and then or Ben Cox to come next probably.
On the plus side, they'll also know that those are the people that are in the better form for Worcestershire, so they have already got out the people that are struggling somewhat, as Anderson is in once more. Barnard this doesn't carry through to Croft at slip, just along the ground as it takes an edge.
Yeah, that just short of him, was it? I'm not sure. Yeah. Certainly the signs that they're too disappointed. The body language of the Lancashire slip cordon landed just in front of Stephen Croft.
Anderson's still making life difficult for the Worcestershire batsman. And Barnard is an all-rounder these days. Anderson in once more. Barnard just shapes for the shot, but this goes straight through to Willis, and score remains 39 for 4 as Anderson's just giving Barnard a lesson in brilliant bowling this morning here at New Road.
Yeah, well, he's nowhere near touching that one again either, was he? It was another cracking delivery, but he's miles away from it.
Probably, thankfully so. I think with the pace of this, it's not going to take much in the nick through to the keeper or slips. Anderson in again to the stumps, and Barnard does get a bat on this, but just to defend it out on the offside, and there's no run.
39 for 4. Mitchell for 4, Ferguson for 1, Wessels for 3, Whiteley for 1 for the men out, if you're just tuning in for Worcestershire this morning. Lancashire, unsurprisingly, taking up their option to bowl first on an overcast morning here at New Road, with rain forecast for much of the day from lunchtime onwards.
Anderson in to finish his over, and yet again Barnard just gets the bat on this, but out into the offside and no runners. Josh Bohannon does the fielding out at point, and Anderson finishes his 9th over of the morning. 9 overs, 2 for 15. Still looking across to the pavilion, and I think a drink will now make its way out to him. Better late than never. He looks like he's laughing with the task man about that situation as he decides not to take the drink now.
It'll be on shortly though, won't it? I would think.
Will, because he's taking up his
Tom Bailey
mid-off.
is the 12th man for Lancashire. Here's Mahmood then from the New Road end. Bowls, and she's short of a length outside the off stump. And Dell's done that a couple of times actually. He's just bent at the knees and just rocked back and let that pass about chest high through to the keeper. He's shown excellent judgment, Josh Dell, pretty much from the word go about what to play and what to leave. And he's not really been beaten by anything. I can't certainly remember anything that's beaten him on with a front or back foot. He's concentrated really well. 18 from 46 deliveries, head and shoulders the best effort so far for Worcestershire in the face of some excellent probing bowling. Mahmood in his 3rd over bowls. Forward comes Dell again, that characteristic big stride forward, brings the bat down a nice arc and out to mid-off, and there's no run. I mentioned he's a tall guy, it helps him get a long way forward and helps him to stand up obviously on the back foot too. And his back lift is fairly distinctive, high but holds it parallel to the ground, quite still as the bowler approaches, and a slight trigger movement sort of down rather than anywhere else, and then forward he comes this next delivery and ignores it outside the off stump through to the keeper, and there's no run. Just got a little bit darker here at New Road. It's been quite a bright morning, even though there's been plenty of cloud cover.
Weather's changing, you can sense it changing. Obviously, as we know, it is due to, but it's certainly getting darker away over the ladies' pavilion.
Yeah, the flag is now energetic on its pole. It was fairly limp a few moments ago. Oh, brilliantly bowled, and he's made Josh Dell seemingly look like he's made a huge error. He went to leave the ball outside the off stump, and then he sent his off pole cartwheeling back out of the ground. He's gone, leaving a delivery which has clearly come back into him and clattered his pole out the ground. Worcestershire lose their 5th wicket. Josh Dell's excellent, patient innings, sadly for him, has come to an end. Bowled Mahmood spectacularly for 18. 39 for 5.
Yeah, it's a misjudgment obviously by Dell, but it's good bowling by Mahmood actually. He set him up quite well there, because he just bowled a couple outside the off stump, one which he got him forward and driving out to mid off, one which he then allowed, he was quite happy to leave to leave outside the off stump. I think he left 2 outside the off stump, and then just gets one just to come back in a fraction. So probably pitching on a similar line as the previous one, but just coming back in a fraction. And Dell wanting to leave it, thinking that would go past, and it just moves back in and thuds into the off stump, doesn't it? And goes cartwheeling backwards the off stump. So it's good, really good ball. Obviously a misjudgment from the batsman, but really good bowling from Mahmood, just toying with that kind of just 4th, 5th stump line, and then getting one that just jags back in a fraction. Good stuff by Mahmood.
Yeah, absolutely. And he'll learn from that. It's all a learning curve for Josh Dell. So he'll take something from that little innings, and hopefully he'll take plenty of positives, because that was a fighting knock from him.
It was, yeah, credit where it's due, because that's not easy, is it? I mean,
no.
He's gone out to open the batting there. He's seen four guys lose their wicket. He's had to endure might be slightly dramatic term, but he's had to really work hard against Anderson, Onions, and then into Mahmood. And even though he's not gone on to get a sizable score, he's shown in that hour and 20-minute little spell there that he's got something about him there.
Yeah, he certainly, you say, the 18 runs he scored probably don't really tell enough about the innings, like you say, the hour and 20 minutes that he's been out there, and compared to the other batsmen that have gone, he hopefully will certainly still be pleased with his morning to some extent.
Well, 49 balls in 77 minutes for Josh Dell's patiently compiled 18, just the one boundary. That's a very nice on drive early on. So Ben Cox is in now. Cox and Barnard together. Worcestershire's lower middle order are going to have to do some digging here. There's Mahmood, 2 balls left of his 3rd over. Bowls to Cox, who covers up on middle and off and drops it down into the mid-wicket area, where Saqib Hamid darts into field. 39 for 5. Wickets falling at 13, 19, 23, 24 and 39. Lancashire just haven't let them breathe this morning. Mahmood, last ball of his 3rd over. He's got amazing figures. Onto the back foot goes Cox, again down to mid-wicket, and there's no run. He's got 3 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 1. Saqib Mahmood after 3 overs, 2 maidens rather. 3 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 1.
Yeah, wicket maiden that for Mahmood. It is relentless. That's one thing that with the attack that Lancashire have got, it is pretty relentless. So you see off Anderson from one end and coming back on his Onions.
Yeah.
And then you get rid of Onions from this end, and you bring in Mahmood. So between the 3 of them, it really is kind of foot on the throat, isn't it, really, from Lancashire. It is difficult, and it's pretty relentless.
9 overs, 2 for 15 with 4 maidens from Jimmy Anderson.
It is a clear strength that Lancashire have got. Their bowling reserves are quite big, and that's been demonstrated in the last few games, the way that they've kind of chopped and changed. Here comes Onions over the wicket and balls to Barnard, who's in behind, if a little tentatively, but in behind nonetheless, and plays it safely back down the pitch, and there's no run.
Well, if we are going to get some play this morning, and this will be the best part of the match, Lancashire certainly making the most of it, aren't they? If you don't get any play after lunch, 39 for 5, they're certainly trying to bring the game on. Obviously you can't be bowled out before lunch, can they? Possible.
Here comes Onions to Barnard, who leaves this ball with the gloves of Dane Villa.
You shouldn't laugh.
It's just under 40 minutes to go, isn't it? Before lunch.
Well, credit to all the people that have turned up this morning, still given the forecast, and come to see the team, especially the people from Lancashire who presumably made the journey.
But in a way, I suppose, if you are going to watch the cricket, you need to come this morning.
You needed to come. There's no point saying, "Oh, I'll come for the afternoon."
No, don't do that.
Onions to Barnard, going back and dabbing it into the offside and the run. They could be wrong. The forecasters could be wrong. They could be in for a glorious afternoon.
Every forecast.
Every single one of them. Yeah. Predicting the end of the world type rain at some stage. There's all sorts of weather warnings, aren't there? Yellow weather warnings for heavy rain.
Months rain.
Is it only yellow? Has it not gone red yet?
I think I think it's advancing from yellow to red slowly. 39 for 5. And Barnard on 6. 2 slips, gully, point, extra cover, mid off, mid on, mid wicket. Fine leg, and then he falls to Barnard, shuffles back, doesn't offer the bat. It's into the gloves of Dane Villas. And there's no run.
Yeah, they've not updated the video forecast on the BBC weather page, which is the one I go with really. They haven't done it yet. It was 3 hours ago. That's the one I saw this morning, which is really bad.
I woke up this morning and I stayed just outside Kidderminster last night. And I woke up this morning and pulled back the curtains in the hotel, and it was glorious weather. And he falls to Barnard. That's clipped down to fine leg. He'll get 4 because Davis is he's more kind of deep backward square than fine leg. In fact, I think Villas wants Dame Alex Davis to be a little bit finer on the boundary there. He was just waving to him. So I think he might be in the wrong position there, Alex. 4 runs there for Worcestershire. Score moves on to 43 for 5. Barnard leads it.
Yeah, it was lovely this morning. I think they needed a sort of 8 o'clock start, really.
Yeah.
Might have got a couple of sessions there. Bring the game forward.
Shame you can't do that, isn't it? Yeah. We'll start at 10 past 6 in the morning. There's Onions 2, Barnard, that slashed into the offside, and that somehow gets its way through Stephen Croft out to extra cover for 4 runs. It was hit pretty firmly. It may have bounced at a slightly awkward angle just in front of Croft at extra cover, and that burst in between his fingers and out towards the ladies' pavilion. End of the over, 47 for 5, and Ed Barnard is now 14 for 5.
The lights definitely changed, because I thought he'd stopped that.
Yeah, I thought he
Because especially if they didn't run, so I thought, oh, he just knows he's hit it straight to him. He got hold of it and caught it well. But I thought, oh, he's hit it straight to him. No run. Before you pick up the ball halfway between Croft and the boundary road. And still checking the weather.
Well, I'm checking. Yeah, it's still only us and Durham that are playing. Everyone else is no chance.
Mahmood in once more from the new road end, and Cox turns that out on the leg side. No run as Hamid does the fielding.
Yeah, still no play in the World Cup match between South Africa and West Indies at the Hampshire Bowl, as we call it during this competition. South Africa 29 for 2 after 7.5 overs there, but raining there.
Mahmood into Cox once more, and Cox just high elbows but brings the bat down on this, and no run as Anderson does the fielding. Coming up from mid-on.
No play possible so far today in a match that started yesterday in Division 1, Nottinghamshire against Hampshire at Nettleworth. Nottinghamshire 162 and Hampshire 93 for 2 in reply, but not able to get out so far today. And no play at all so far at Canterbury between Kent and Somerset, and at Guildford between Surrey and Yorkshire.
Mahmood into Cox, who pushes that out on the offside. Hesitating. And no run there.
And still no play either at Grace Road between Leicestershire and Middlesex. So it's only us and Durham that are bucking the trend. Durham 38 for 4. Officially Worcestershire are doing the worst now. Sad to report, Worcestershire's perspective.
Mahmood to Cox, who just keeps the bat high above his head and watches the ball whistle past him. No run.
Durham 38 for 4, Worcestershire 47 for 5.
Come on, Durham. Lose another wicket.
Lose another wicket, come on, at least.
You know you want to. Mahmood just starts his run up. Cox waits very upright now, crouches down and just keeps the pose as he pushes that on the leg side to Jimmy Anderson, who's up from mid-on. No run.
Yeah, got his unbeaten 100, didn't he, Ben Cox, against Leicestershire?
Yes.
He's had a couple of scores since then, 38 and 32 in the first innings against Durham and Lancashire, respectively.
Yeah, he's got 234 runs so far in the 4 matches Worcestershire played in the Championship. And he waits the final ball of Mahmood's over. Pushes that really just out on the offside, but it's not quite going to go away for 4. They come back for second and settle for 2. Not on the offside in front of the, as Scott was saying, the newest scoreboard on the 7 side. Who's that fielding down there?
I think it's Alex Davis, isn't it?
Davis down there,
It
yep.
is. End of the over. 20 overs gone now this morning. Worcestershire 49 for 5. Very definitely the leaders, Lancashire's morning here at New Road. Conditions definitely conducive for bowling first, particularly when you've got bowlers of the skill and the class of Jimmy Anderson, Graham Onions. Mahmood has finally got in on the act. Here comes Onions from the Diglis end, where he's replaced Jimmy Anderson wide outside the off stump, and Barnard leaves alone. Barnard has 14 now off 25 deliveries. 49 for 5. A moral victory of sorts for Worcestershire here, because they've managed to weaken the Lancashire slip cordon. There were 4 slips, now there's just 2. Liam Livingston at second and Keatley Jennings at first. Rob Jones is sort of a gully position as Onions bowls, and forward comes Barnard. It's outside edgy though, but not in the air. Snakes along the ground to Josh Bohannon at point, and there's no run. But yes, they've plugged the gap in the covers as Dane Villas. He's put Stephen Croft in there at cover now. So there's a traditional ring of fielders on that offside. Jimmy Anderson at mid-off is a bit wide actually, as Onions moves past the umpire and bowls. This one is again well wide of the off stump. Doesn't induce any kind of stroke from Barnard. 49 for 5. Onions halfway through his 8th over, 2 for 26 so far. 2 for Anderson, 2 for Onions so far in terms of wickets. 1 for Mahmood. That spectacular dismissal of Josh Dell set him up nicely outside the off stump, and then balls that were just moving away a touch and then brought one back in as Onions bowls short outside the off stump, left alone by Barnard, and then one that just shaped back into Dell, who went to anticipate another one that might move away from him, and back it came through the gate. No shot offered, and he sent his off pole cartwheeling back 5 or 6 yards to end his very promising innings. But a morning of toil so far, as Anderson delays the return to Graham Onions. Just gives it another vigorous rub down the right thigh. Here comes Onions on the drive, beautifully done by Ed Barnard. Out it goes towards the marquee and thudding into the boundary boards now. Nice shot from Barnard. 50 is up, 53 for 5. Well, it's been a morning of toil so far for Worcestershire, Malcolm. 53 for 5 is the score. Ed Barnard has just creamed Graham Onions through the covers to bring up the 50 for Worcestershire, but it's been a real struggle for them against some excellent new ball bowling from Jimmy Anderson and Graham Onions. They've claimed 2 wickets apiece. Darryl Mitchell for 4, Callum Ferguson for 1, Ricki Wessels for 3, and Ross Whiteley for 1 went fairly early on. And then Josh Dell, who played very, very well for his 18 off 49 balls and 77 minutes before Saqib Mahmood got one to come back into him and cartwheel his off stump out of the ground. He went for 18. That was 39 for 5. But Barnard has got himself up to 18 with a couple of classy looking strokes. And Cox is with him on a couple. Worcestershire staging some kind of recovery here on a difficult morning. They're 53 for 5 after 21 overs. Update for listeners to Malcolm Boyden on BBC Hereford and Worcester's FM service. Better news, I suppose. Better news, 39 for 5 to 53 for 5.
And it's slightly brighter.
It is, isn't it?
Slightly brighter. Small thing.
Well, crumbs of comfort.
I love the optimism from you both.
I know.
Massive fan of that. I think we're going to get a little bit in the afternoon as well. I'm checking my little radar here. And
What, is there a sliver of...
There's a... Yeah, it certainly looks clear.
Non-blue.
Well, it looks clear up until the resumption after lunch. There's nothing on its way, according to this, until kind of 2 o'clock-ish. So we might get a little bit of flag post. Who knows? These things change, don't they?
Really.
Mahmood then into Cox. Defends and walk down the pitch and plays it back down towards the bowler. And there's no run. Cox 2, Barnard 18, Worcestershire 53 for 5. Onions 2 for 30. A couple of wickets for James Anderson and Mahmood. And so far bowled 4.2 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 3. So Mahmood from the New Road end with 2 slips, gully, point, extra cover and mid-off. Mid-on, mid-wicket and fine leg. Over the wicket and bowling to Cox and forward and defending. Angling it out of the offside, Croft with extra cover fields. And there is no run. There's a light sprinkling of spectators around the ground, not a bad turnout for a first day. As you say, with gloomy predictions about the weather, it might well have put a few off coming today, even with the prospect of watching Jimmy Anderson bowl. Come. I've enjoyed a high-class spell of bowling from Anderson, who has his hands buried into his pockets at mid-on. Flash of red down the side of his trousers. There's Mahmood. Sets in again, past the umpire, into Cox. That's off the back foot, and forcing it into the offside. But fielded by Bohannon at backward point. There is no run.
Yeah, it's another reason to definitely come down. I mean, forecast aside, but the chance to see, or obviously don't know whether you're going to, but the chance to see Jimmy Anderson bowl is one not to be missed, even if you are a staunch Worcestershire supporter.
I think you just have to take that bit out of it, don't you, and just admire the cricket.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Enjoy it if you're a cricket fan. Enjoy watching the high quality bowling.
Move to Cox. Driven, but he doesn't breach the defences of Stephen Croft and extra cover, no run.
I was thinking about it on the way in that you almost need a sort of reverse ticket, a bit like those car parks you go to where you pay at the end for the time you've had. So rather than getting a ticket for the day, you pay as you leave for the bit of cricket you've seen.
Yeah.
When it's such terrible forecast.
Well, that'll never catch on, that excellent idea.
I know.
Sadly.
Well, I was just watching the people coming in and I was thinking, oh, poor you.
I see what you mean. So if you stay for an hour or two, you stay for 4 hours, you pay less.
Yeah.
Quite like that. Mahmood to Cox, pushing defensively at the point. And there's no run. It's the end of the over. 53 for 5. Cox 2. Barnard beaten on 18. So you get a little stamp as you come into the ground.
Yeah, time entered the ground.
Like that. And then as you leave,
you pop that into a machine, time left the ground, and it can calculate the overs you've seen. Because when you think
you're
about
relying on honesty then, are you? People to key in the time that they leave?
No, it's all automatic, isn't it? Like a car park. It tells you what time you came and when.
Right. Which is fine.
Can't rely on honesty.
Well, no, I was going to say. Unless you lose your keys after the, you see like a couple of hours, lose your keys for 4 hours, then don't have to pay.
Onions from the Diglis end. bowls to Ed Barnard, who lets that go through to Dame Villas.
I'm trying very unsuccessfully to play devil's advocate here, Sally, and
I
what is
know,
an
I think you're
excellent
just finding
idea that
fault
I think
in a really good
you just
plan
have to
that I
say
had.
that should be
I
implemented.
don't have many, and you're trying to ruin it.
Immediately. Have that immediately. So, Scott, you're staying in Kiddie, are you?
I did last night, yeah. I stayed.
You're not staying a bit closer from
Moving
now on?
round.
I'm moving.
Touring the county.
I'm exploring every aspect of it.
Onions into Barnard, who pushes that on the offside, no run. Or defends it out really, not pushes it.
So are you a bit more central this evening?
I need to actually.
Oh, don't you know?
I've not actually booked anywhere yet for tonight. Now I'm at a place called. Actually, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it. It's spelled B-E-W-D-L-E-Y. Bewdley.
Bewdley.
Is correct. Yeah.
Good
Oh,
fish
lovely.
and chip shop.
I saw that.
Onions to Barnard, once again high arms, and defends that back down the wicket to Onions.
Very pretty, Bewdley.
It was, very nice.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Careful if we get all this rain.
Ah,
Yes.
right. Is it prone for flooding?
Yeah, it can do. Can do. It has been known.
Right.
It has been known. Although
Once or twice.
there are there are good barriers there now, Scott. You'll be okay. You won't be washed away, not completely.
But if we don't
Certainly not
see you on
immediately.
Wednesday.
Well, you could surf in. You.
Onions to Barnard once more. Just brings it out inside the line of the ball, and that goes through to the last no run. Score remains 53 for 5, and there's 23rd over of the day.
Yes, it was a pleasant drive through the country roads last night on my way down from Manchester. I couldn't get off the M6 quick enough, if I'm being perfectly honest. So
When is that not the case ever? Really?
I took to the A roads and
Yes.
weaved my way through the countryside. It was lovely.
Onions turns and makes his way in. Ed Barnard waits, and once again this goes through to Villas, but a few oohs and ahs, as that was perhaps closer to Barnard's bat than he would have liked.
Yes, good bowling from Onions there. 2 for 30 from nearly 9 overs. But you picked a good time to come off there, Scott, really. Yeah, off the M6 through that part of Worcestershire. Very nice indeed.
And I did notice the fish and chip shop this morning on the way to the ground.
Right by the river.
Yeah, very nice.
Very nice. Onions again, and Barnard has a big swing at this. Tries to go for the drive down the ground, and no contact as he goes down on one knee in the end, and no run from that final delivery of Onions over. Worcestershire 53 for 5 then at the end of the 23rd. Yeah, and they've started, I think, 1 day a week doing gluten free.
Oh, right. Oh, very trendy.
Very.
Is that just fish without the batter? just don't bother with the batter.
No, it wasn't. We went there recently, not knowing it was such an occasion.
Right.
And you wouldn't have known. It was still very, very tasty, because that's what they were doing that day. You know, whether you liked it or not. I believe.
I don't think I've ever had gluten-free batter.
Well, I hadn't, and I didn't realise until afterwards. So there you go.
Here's Mahmood bowls, and forward comes Cox, and there's no run. I'm wondering whether the taste difference is as marked, because, again, I don't know, because they've probably improved it, but I remember trying gluten-free bread, and that wasn't great, if I'm being honest. A bit mattressy.
Mattressy?
Bit mattressy.
How many mattresses have you
stroke
eaten in your
boxy. I wasn't sure whether it was cardboard or a mattress, which I appreciate is the two ends of the spectrum. Forward comes Cox, this next delivery out to cover, and there's no run. I think the standard obviously differed quite widely for the products that I chose at the time. But I don't know, a gluten-free flour in batter, I mean, would you notice much of a difference? I don't know.
So we didn't notice.
There you go, Scott, you're going to have it now.
Well,
Pop down.
Actually, if I go
It's
back
very
there
busy, it's not too big, so just get popped in.
Well, if you're back in Kiddie, just hop on the Severn Valley Railway,
Right.
chug up to Bewdley.
Yeah.
Very nice, that's the way to do it.
Okay.
Mahmood in bowls, and forward comes Cox again for the third straight ball, driving out into the offside, but he's hit Stephen Croft yet again at cover, and there's no run. 53 for 5. Yes, very nice. Severn Valley Railway.
You were on that recently, weren't you, Dell?
I was, yes. Was it last weekend? No, weekend before. Oh, we just had a weekend, haven't we? So it wasn't the weekend we
It's
just
Monday
had.
today.
Yes. Oh, don't start on this. Found out during the Middlesex game my
And the
tenuous
Durham
grasp,
game.
and the Durham game, tenuous grasp on days of the week. Mahmood is in, and this one does cut back into Cox a little bit. He comes forward defensively, but kicks off the inside edge of the bat out to mid-wicket, and there's no run. That's just in terms of, Scott, remembering what day of the week we're on.
Yes,
And
it
that
can be
particular
tricky.
time. I know. I'm glad you think so. Glad you think so.
Well, when you do this job and you can, days all just merge into one. I have no idea what's a weekend and what's a
No. So it was
weekday.
last weekend, not the one we've just had.
Also, just generally speaking, working in sport, you don't often get your weekends, do you? Because you're working.
Mahmood past the umpire, bowls short outside the off stump, and Cox stands up and just has a nose at that one on the way through, plays no stroke, and through to Villas, and there's no run. One more ball of his 6th over of this spell for Saqib Mahmood. 1 for 3. These impressive figures. He's kept up the pressure from the early burst from Jimmy Anderson and Graham Onions. So Worcestershire find themselves in such a hole at the moment. 53 for 5. Mahmood bowls. On the drive is Cox again, and once more he smacked it straight to Croft. He takes a couple of backward steps to cope with the force of that one smashed at him, but he stopped it well. And the end of the over. Another maiden for Mahmood. 6 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 3. Terrific stuff from him. Barnard stuck on 18. Cox has 2. Worcestershire 53 for 5. 15 minutes away from lunch. If you are just tuning in, then it's been very much Lancashire the leaders' morning. Mitchell caught behind off Onions for 4. Callum Ferguson LBW to Onions for 1. Ricki Wessels LBW to Anderson for 3. Whiteley caught off a leading edge by Hamid at point off Anderson, looking to turn it through mid-wicket for 1. And Josh Dell spectacularly bowled by Mahmood for 18, playing no shot to a ball that came back into him and plucked his off stump out the ground.
See Liam Livingston replacing Onions. Livingston comes in and bowls to Barnard. Dabs into the onside. There is no run. He bowled a lot last week, Livingston. The fact that his off spin has come on so much, it takes kind of the pressure off Lancashire having to play a frontline spinner. As Livingston bowls again, Barnard going back and defending, no run. So they've gone for that extra all-rounder in Bohannon, because Livingston's worked really hard with bowling, and it means that the likes of Matt Parkinson, Stephen Parry would have especially spinners for Lancashire. Unfortunately, it's tough to get into the team at the minute because Livingston is a good option for them.
So is Parkinson fit at the moment?
Yeah, he is.
Right.
Yeah, both Parkinson and Parry are fit, but just can't get in the side because at the minute, as I say, Lancashire can use this option with Liam Livingston. He's over the wicket and bowling to Barnard. Playing defensively into the onside.
Yeah, I appreciate conditions for a leg spinner aren't the best at the moment, but Parkinson is definitely an exciting prospect, isn't he?
He will certainly play out the T20 campaign.
Yeah.
Livingston balls, Barnard is forward in defence, there's no run. And I'm sure he'll be hoping that he gets a little bit drier as the summer goes on. Towards the back end of the season as well, lots of news pictures up and down the country that Parkinson will have a big part to play still for Lancashire. In comes the Vincent, forward goes Barnard, defend. Smothered into the offside. He gets to them quickly at the end of the over. Worcestershire are 53 for 5, Barnard on 18 and Cox on 2. That's the first over done from Liam Livingston.
I suspect Worcestershire will think the opposite, really, Scott, in terms of how the summer might pan out condition-wise, because their palpable lack of a spinner is a frontline spinner anyway. is a real weakness for them at the moment. So they'll be quite happy if the summer isn't particularly dry, because they just have very, very few options. George Rhodes is the main spinner, but he's obviously not been in any great form with both bat and ball, and lost his place for this match. So it's an issue for them.
Mahmood in from the new road end to Cox, who turns that away, and they'll race away, I think, for 4. Down to fine leg.
Leg by, signalled in the end.
Leg by.
Yeah.
I was watching the fielding on the umpire. Thought with the way the ball had been going across the outfield this morning, that they might have still cut that off. So not exactly racing away over the grass. Then I suppose with the bit of the extra pace from Mahmood, he's certainly getting the ball to move through this morning.
Yeah, he's bowled with some decent wheels this morning. He's in his 7th over of his spell now.
He's into Cox again now, and Cox goes for a big drive, and he's gone. Caught behind. As he went for the big shot out on the offside. Got a nick on that. And Ben Cox has gone for 2 from 21, as Worcestershire lose their 6th wicket of just his first session this morning. 57 for 6. As Cox takes his gloves off, has a look at the outside edge of his bat, very bottom of the bat as well, and makes his way dejectedly back to the pavilion.
It's a poor stroke, I'm afraid. I know he's played that shot a lot off Mahmood in the last couple of overs, where it was just him, the bowler, and Stephen Croft at cover that seemed to be in the game. But he's got him again, Mahmood. He's got a good brain on his shoulders, Saqib Mahmood, no doubt about that. He's just kept it there, and he's just tempted Cox one time too many. Perhaps a touch wider, and he's thrown everything at that Ben Cox, and an outside edge, maybe toward the bottom of the bat as well, as he goes off now, inspecting the toe end. But again, you've got to credit the bowler there for some clever stuff, and just a lapse in concentration, I think, from Cox, allowing himself to be suckered into that big booming drive. The situation that Worcestershire find themselves in now, the hole has got a little bit deeper. 57 for 6. They've gone 2, 2 and 2, haven't they, Lancashire, with their bowlers? They've been very generous. They spread it around the wickets. 2 each now for Mahmood, Anderson and Onions.
Well, Mahmood, as you say, is outthought. Both the wickets he's taken, Dell and Cox, he's outthought the Worcestershire batsmen in the end, and got them to play exactly the way he's wanted to suit his bowling, and it's paid off for him this morning. As you say, 2 wickets to Mahmood.
Well, Parnell's come in now, back from his hamstring problem. Was a thorn in Lancashire's side with bat and ball in the first innings up at Old Trafford a few weeks ago, and Worcestershire need him to be that again. 57 for 6. Still got 9 minutes to go to lunch. So what we get, might get another 3 overs in, especially with Livingston on at the other end.
Yeah, you've got 4 balls left in this Mahmood over, and then certainly a couple from Livingston. There's Mahmood's in, and Parnell waits for him.
Ooh.
Is that a drop
I
chance?
think that may have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think the way Villas is
Posting,
reacting on his back, covering his hands with his gloves, that was a very, very difficult chance. Another quick delivery that Parnell didn't really do anything too wrong, I don't think. There, he just stood his ground. It whistled past him before he kind of blinked. It flicked the shoulder of his bat, I think, and the wicketkeeper, jumping to his left, got one hand to it, but couldn't make it stick.
I think Parnell was just signalling to Barnard that really climbed on him. Mahmood in once more, and Parnell lets this one go through, waves his bat, but in no danger of making contact with that ball.
Wide signal, actually. That was swinging wide and going wider. Slips strengthened, unsurprisingly for the new man. 4 slips back in there now for the left-handed Parnell.
Well, if you were Lancashire, you certainly just keep on attacking, wouldn't you? 6 down, like you say, they took a couple out of the slips a short time ago, but
why not?
Push
Crank it
on.
up, crank it up.
put the pressure on pre-lunch as Mahmood's in once more, and Parnell lets this one go through. Gratefully, no run. A couple of wides from Mahmood this morning. Well, if it wasn't for Parnell, I think Worcestershire would have been more easily beaten up at Old Trafford. As we said earlier, he was the man of the match for Worcestershire in their losing cause. Onto wickets and runs until he gets a hamstring injury. Mahmood once more to Parnell, who tries that out on the offside. No run though. And Anderson fields it mid off.
Yeah, he was excellent, Parnell, with the bat in the first innings. Yeah, proper stubborn resistance, really, and without his 60-odd, it's been a pretty dismal first innings for Worcestershire, and then he bowled beautifully. He only took 5 wickets. He had a really good first day.
Mahmood finishes over to Parnell, who tries to turn that away on the leg side, but no run. The last of the fielding. And Worcestershire at the end of that 26 over, 58 for 6. Barnard still there on 18 from 42, but hasn't had as much of a strike recently. Parnell yet to get off the mark, faced 4 deliveries. There's been 11 extras this morning, and Worcestershire's total of 58. And those games are Worcestershire in danger of extras being the top scorer at the moment. Carries on.
Comes Livingston balls to Barnard. He's driven square of the wicket for a single. Moves to 19, 59 for 6. It's been a pretty brutal 2 hours, hasn't it, for Worcestershire. 59 for 6 with 6 minutes to go until lunch. Maybe this over and then time for one more. 2 wickets for Mahmood, a couple for Jimmy Anderson, a couple for Graham Onions as well. As Dan mentioned, they've spread the wickets out. All 3 seam bowlers have had a say in proceedings so far. Livingston bowls some off spin here to Parnell, striking that through the covers. I need an extra cover field. Parnell gets 1 run off the mark with that. Worcester move to 60 for 6.
I mean, it's almost video game stats, isn't it? Figures for Mahmood. 7 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 4.
Livingston balls over the wicket to Ed Barnard, who slips the ball off his hips into the onside. Yeah, the good numbers there, aren't they? If your name is Saqib Mahmood and you're looking up to the scoreboard and you see 7,
pleased with that.
4, 4, 2. Decent morning. Livingston in. Barnard, he scored again, defending to extra cover. Croft comes up to field, no run.
Yeah, Anderson 9 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 15. Onions 9 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 30.
And Livingston balls once more, driven down the ground by Barnard, stopped by Livingston off his own bowling. No run.
So Mahmood, yeah, fantastic. 7 double 4 2.
This is the final ball of Livingston's second over. It's punched firmly to mid-off where Anderson fields. It's the end of it. 60 for 6. With Barnard on 19 and Wayne Parnell unbeaten on 1.
4 minutes to go to lunch, so certain this will be the last over. Mahmood removes his sweater and gives it to umpire Mark Newell, and he makes his way to the top of his mark, which is a small pile of sawdust, but just under halfway back to the boundary at the New Road end. And Worcestershire will certainly, well, there's 3 minutes to go now, they'll probably have a quick chat at the batsman halfway through to make absolutely sure this is the last over. 60 for 6 then, Mahmood with these brilliant figures. In he comes again, right arm over the wicket, onto the back foot goes Parnell, and drives it out to Anderson at mid-off, who hasn't got to move an inch as it goes straight to him. And there's no run. Parnell has 1. We'll be updating BBC Hereford was this FM listeners at once. Scott will be doing likewise. The good folk of Manchester. There in the northwest. Here is Mahmood. Bowls and driven meatilly out to the fence for 4 by Parnell. That was a real stand and deliver shot from Wayne Parnell. No great foot movement, but he just waited in his crease and then powered the ball, got his arms through it quickly. Enough width as well offered from Mahmood to facilitate the shot, and there's loads of room to the right of Jimmy Anderson. As Anderson's got all that to patrol, there's only Josh Bohannon who's fielding at backward point. He's quite deep there as well. There's no one between him and Jimmy Anderson at mid-on as well, so that cover region is gaping for Parnell, and he's just tanned it through there. He's up to 5, 64 for 6. Round the wicket now comes Mahmood in response to change the angle. Fired it into his legs, and Parnell defends it back up to the bowler. 3 slips, a gully, waiting for the edge. Parnell dropped off his first delivery, a very difficult chance to Dane Villas, one that lifted and cut him in half. Took the outside edge of the left-hander's bat, and Villas diving to his left one-handed, got there but couldn't hold on as he hit the ground. Mahmood bowls, forward comes Parnell, big stride forward, bat high above his head, out of danger. Through to Villas. 2 balls to go, and it will be lunch. And then how much play will we get post-lunch? I think Scott might well be right, that we might get a resumption of play in the afternoon. The forecast is pretty grim from there on in. Mahmood, penultimate ball of the session, comes in, it's full, and it's through to the wicket keeper. There was a sound, but it was bat on ground rather than bat on ball. Lancashire feels excited for a nanosecond there, before realising there was nothing on the bat. Mahmood now has sent Saqib Hamid out to the pastures at deep backward square, and he's bringing a gully out into short cover as well. So he's got options here to bang it in short. What's he going to do? He's just pushing third slip wider as well. So Parnell might be expecting a short one here, or will it be a bluff and be full? Last ball of the over. It's down the leg side, and it's nothing really. It's neither a short one nor a full one. It's steered out to mid-wicket where it's fielded, and there's no run. And the end of the over, and that should be that. Indeed it is. Umpires Rob Bailey and Mark Newell just turn the stumps, turn the bails around on the top of the stumps to signify the end of the session. Very much Lancashire's session. 64 for 6 Worcestershire. And it's been really hard graft, as hard as that scoreboard would suggest for Worcestershire. Ed Barnard's batted well. He's got 19 from 47 deliveries. Wayne Parnell 5 from 11. They've made sure that Worcestershire didn't lose any more wickets following the loss of Ben Cox. But it's been really disappointing, really hard for Worcestershire. Inevitably asked to bat first on cloudy, overcast conditions this morning, with a new ball in the hands of Jimmy Anderson and Graham Onions. That was always going to be a tough ask, and so it proved. Daryl Mitchell perishing first, caught behind off Graham Onions for 4. That was 13 for 1. It was soon 19 for 2 when Callum Ferguson was pinned LBW by one that kept perhaps a little bit low from Onions, the Australian out for just a single. Then 19 for 2 became 22 for 3 when Ricki Wessels was LBW to Jimmy Anderson, his first victim of the day for 3. Wessels, as low scores continue. A couple of runs later, Ross Whiteley was caught off a leading edge looking to turn a full length delivery from Anderson through mid-wicket, and it looped up to Saqib Hamid fielding it backward point. Whiteley gone for a single, that was 24 for 4. And then a bit of a recovery, a partnership of 15 before Josh Dell, who played really well actually for his 18. He was the one Worcestershire batsman who had looked relatively untroubled, patient, watchful, good shot selection as well, before in the end he was just undone by some really intelligent stuff from Saqib Mahmood, who'd pushed the ball away from the right-handed Dell on a number of occasions in the over, and then got one to come back in, so much so Dell was fooled that he just shouldered arms to a ball that he assumed was leaving him, and it came back into him and plucked his off stump out the ground and sent it cartwheeling. That was 39 for 5, and then a partnership of 18 between Barnard and Cox before Cox, guilty of a poor shot really. Mahmood had again bowled it full on a drivable length, which Cox just couldn't get away, kept hitting Stephen Croft in the covers, and then he tried it one more time too many. A big booming drive and a tickle behind to Villas, and he was gone for 2. That was 57 for 6, but Ed Barnard and Wayne Parnell making sure that Worcestershire got to lunch without any further loss. 64 for 6. The bowling figures are excellent for Lancashire, not great from Worcestershire's perspective obviously. Jimmy Anderson 9 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 18. Graham Onions 9 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 30. Saqib Mahmood 8 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 8. Sensational stuff from him. And Liam Livingston, we saw 2 overs of off spin from the former captain, 2 overs, 1 maiden, none for 2. So as the groundsmen get to work, well, it's lunch here at New Road, very much Lancashire's session. Worcestershire 64 for 6, losing Mitchell for 4, Ferguson for 1, Wessels for 3, Whiteley for 1 and Cox for 2. 2 wickets apiece for Onions, Mahmood and Anderson. Difficult conditions, Josh Dell making 18, Ed Barnard also has 18, but Lancashire very much in the ascendancy. Worcestershire a lot of work to do in this session after lunch if we get much play. Rain is forecast, but at lunch Worcestershire 64 for 6. That'll teach me to use all my voice to round up play before the radio update comes to us. Apologies for that, just about survived. So we will break for lunch now. I will try and repair my voice for the afternoon session, and hopefully we'll have some play. Forecast is not great, but please join us in around about 40 minutes time. Hi there, you can switch back to us at New Road anytime you like. Thank you. Hi there. Hi there. Oh, no worries. Yeah, you can count me down straight away. Don't worry about the presenter opting in. That's fine. They can do that when they want to. But yeah, great. A very good afternoon and welcome to New Road for the start of the afternoon session here on the first day of the Specsavers County Championship Division 2 match between the leaders, Lancashire, and Worcestershire, who will be very much hoping they can be in the promotion mix-up this season, looking to bounce back, Worcestershire, from their defeat against Middlesex. Back-to-back defeats as well, if you take into account their first meeting with Lancashire up at Old Trafford. But it's not looking good so far on an overcast day, tailor-made for bowling. No surprise that Lancashire decided to take up their option of bowling first, and they've taken full advantage of that. They have Worcestershire 64 for 6 at lunch. Jimmy Anderson, Saqib, Mahmood and Graham Onions with 2 wickets apiece. All of them have bowled beautifully, particularly Anderson and Mahmood. 2 for 15 from 9 overs with 4 maidens for Anderson, 2 for 8 and 4 maidens from 8 overs for Mahmood. Absolutely wonderful stuff. So part of our commentary team alongside me, Dan Wheeler, Scott Reed from BBC Radio Lancashire, and BBC Haverworcester's Sally Bentley-Reid. Afternoon to you, Sal.
Good afternoon.
Not sure how much play we'll get this afternoon with the forecast looking as bad as it is, but it's okay at the moment. It's bright, still overcast, and Jimmy Anderson opening up from the Diglis end at the start of the afternoon. 9 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 15, bowling to Ed Barnard, who's top scorer in this Worcestershire innings. Just moved past the 18 managed by Josh Dell. I was also looking back at the replay of Josh Dell's dismissal to Saqib Mahmood a couple of moments ago. Here's Anderson past the umpire and bowls, short of a length, covering up outside the off stump is Barnard, down into the cover point region, and there's no run. Yes, it was really just confirming what Scott was saying earlier. Some very clever bowling from Mahmood, with outswinger after outswinger after outswinger to Josh Dell, and then he just brought one back. It was quick. Dell shouldered arms, played no shot to one he expected to shape away from him, and it cut back in and plucked his off stump out the ground. As Anderson bowls, and he's tried to take the bat away from that Ed Barnard, and it won't quite go for 4 down to vacant third man. Liam Livingston sprints from second, slip behind to haul it back in, and they'll pick up just a couple. Barnard definitely did not intend to put bat on ball there. Wasn't in the air a long time, went down into the ground. But, the Lancashire slip cordon couldn't stop it piercing its way through. So 66 for 6. Barnard into the 20s. As Anderson prepares to run in again. Here he comes, short, and this time it is deliberately steered into that position by Barnard. Fielded on the bounce by Rob Jones, and there's no run. 2 slips, Keaton Jennings at first, Liam Livingston at second, both with their hands thrust deep in their pockets. And then there's Rob Jones, sort of a 5th slip. This is full from Anderson, fired right up into the block hole and dug out by Barnard, squeezed to point where Josh Bohannon is stationed, and there's no run. 1 ball left of the first over after lunch. For 6. Anderson bowls. Barnard won't get a run here, pushed out into the covers. End of the over, he has 21, Parnell 5, Worcestershire 66 for 6. Well, my voice caved in right at the during the 1 o'clock report for BBC Hereford and Worcester, so much so that I think anyone listening to that would have thought I was starting to cry at Worcestershire's predicament. So wobbly became my voice.
Oh dear.
So I don't know. It's not a good sign this early into the afternoon session.
No.
I'm going to shut up now.
Oh dear, a bit of a tickle in the throat. You ate your chips too quickly, your wedges. You were shoving them down your face so quickly, one of them's got caught in your throat. Here comes Onions then to open up from the New Road end. Wayne Parnell on strike. Onions comes right arm around the wicket and is bowled Parnell. And that's the home side 7 down now. Wayne Parnell out for 5, and Onions picks up his 3rd wicket. And Worcestershire in real trouble. And at 66 for 7, Parnell has been dismissed by Graham Onions, who now picked up 3 for 30. And a pretty comprehensive start to the afternoon session. Decision to bowl right arm round the wicket to Parnell, paying dividends there. Angled in towards Parnell, went for a big expansive drive and comprehensively castled the Worcestershire man. 66 for 7. And we're suggested that the rain is on its way at some stage this afternoon. The question is, will Lancashire be batting by the time the rain arrives? There is every chance.
I think there might well be. It's been apparently spitting with rain across the city on and off this morning, so whether there has been any out there that we can't detect from in here, but not enough to take you off the field. But as you say, it was a bit patchy for this first session in terms of the forecast, and then looked worse, didn't it, for sort of 2 o'clock onwards.
Yes, it did, yeah. In fact, we'll certainly be okay, I think, looking at the radio up until, well, now it's saying about 25 past 2 we'll be okay for us. So we could have a decent chunk of the afternoon session still.
Can get another hour or so.
Yeah, hopefully. I say hopefully. Worcestershire might be keen to...
Well, I should imagine, like I say, I think 7 down with the way Lancashire are bowling. If you get another hour's play, then we'll find that Lancashire are out to that.
So Joe Leach is the new batsman, and Innings comes over the wickets to Leach. In his first delivery he leaves, and it's through to Dane Villas, and there is no run. Yeah, it's been utterly kind of comprehensive really from Lancashire so far today. Clinical and pretty emphatic. The morning session belonging firmly to Lancashire in the start to the afternoon, heading in a similar pattern it seems. 3 slips awaiting, Innings back into Leach. That's punched through mid-wicket, and he's off the mark there with at least 2, might just be 2. It is. It just slows down again as it reaches the mid-wicket boundary. Leach moves to 2. Score moves on to 68 for 7. I've been utterly fascinated by watching Dave Bradley clean his he's got some kind of scraper on. I mean, what he's been at it all morning. It's obviously a dirty window, and he's been busy cleaning it for the majority of the day. His Innings in again to Leach. Well, that's come off an edge. He's going backwards, and it's beyond the reach of 3rd slip and down towards the 3rd man boundary for 4 runs, and Leach moves to 6, and the score moves on to 72 for 7.
To the nearest 10 years, I wonder how many years of grind Dave is chipping away there.
It could be quite a lot.
Could be quite a lot. He's doing a great job, I have to say.
He is.
He's been doing it every match, though.
Has he?
Yeah,
all right.
He's a work in progress.
I see. Okay.
I think the conclusion was it might have had something stuck on it.
Right.
So it's not just grime; it's sticky.
Ah, right.
He's got a little metal scraper, hasn't he? He's
Like a wallpaper scraper.
Innings to Leach. Oh, I think that's edged, but it bounces in front of 2nd slip.
A narrow wallpaper scraper type thing.
Yes, that type of thing. Yeah, and a bit of
got
a
its
flop.
own name. Oh, and then yes,
of
the
a
cloth comes out to polish once you've had a bit of scraping.
Very impressive. He's cleared away almost a perfect rectangle shape in the window, hasn't he?
You know, cleaners have that kind of like the utility belt with all the stuff, like Batman's utility belt, all the stuff on. I reckon if Bradders has got one of those carriers that have got all the sort of cleaning products you need.
Innings in to Leach. So work it into the onside. The ball just nips back, hits him on the pad and deflects into the off. End of the first over from Innings after lunch. A wicket taking over for him. And the score moves on to 72 for 7. Barnard on 21 and Leach on 6.
Like a tack box for cleaning.
Yeah, or he could just be a scraper and cloth man. And he uses that regardless of the job. Whatever the job, it's a scraper and a cloth will do.
Do you think he does a lot of cleaning?
Well, judging by the way he's done that in such meticulous... Yes, I mean,
yes,
yeah.
Yes, is the answer.
Until the moment he comes through the glass, to the side, it's given away.
Anderson from the Diglis end to Barnard as they resume their little battle after lunch from this morning's session. Anderson having a stretch, I think.
Scott has gone for his jumper. Yes, he has.
Yeah.
Sal, what have you done? Anything?
I added a layer under my jumper.
Did you?
A
Of course.
t-shirt layer. Well, I thought I was waiting to brave the coat on top.
Right, okay, you've given yourself somewhere to go. Of course,
Yeah,
I haven't.
I had a plan. Anderson once more to Barnard, defends that. Goes out to point. Josh Bohannon there, no run.
I've gone straight to puffer, which is my only move.
Did you not have the puffer vest today?
No.
I brought mine
I've
in
only got one
honour.
layer.
My
I thought
puffer
it'd be
vest in honour, but not that I ever call it a puffer vest.
What do you call it then?
Just a puffer. But you say vest.
Isn't it a gilet though?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's like a vest thing. Isn't it?
You're the only one that calls.
But it's not a puffer,
Name's
is
for
it?
gilet.
This is a puffer because I've got sleeves. That's not a puffer. Well, it's a puffer
Well,
thing.
I've got both. No, I've got both.
Okay.
I didn't know how long we might be here. Anderson to Barnard, who just squares up a little bit to that one and defends it out. No run.
Although
little walk.
superbly ironically, neither of the two coats you've brought are very waterproof, are they? Are they?
I believe this one should be.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be tested later.
I mean, the thickness
Well, if I
of
get
that,
a boat back to the car
You'll
park.
row back to the car park later, yes.
it's not going to be that bad. It'd be beautiful this afternoon.
Barnard waits for Anderson again and high bat, and again that's defended back down the wicket. Out to mid-off, no run.
It is going to be one of those classic cases, isn't it, where we've all been fooled thinking that it's going to be dreadful, and then it'll be like,
And there's a full day's play.
what was all that fuss about? It's missed
We're
it,
still
it's missed
sitting
it.
here at 6:30.
Yeah. Let's see if I've updated the video forecast.
Fascination of the weather. Anderson's in to Barnard, and that one seems to nip through with a bit of extra pace. Anderson's got his head on his hands and oohs and ahs from the slips as Barnard let it go. Slightly late decision. Perhaps gratefully. It's that bad, there's no forecast.
Right, it says an hour ago, I thought a minute, and it says this content not currently available on this device. Well, it was a minute ago.
It's rain in the system. Anderson in, final ball of the over to Barnard as this duel continues, no run. Out to cover. Barnard remains on 21 from 59. 72 for 7 Worcestershire. They try and make their way up to 3 figures, which might, well, still seems a tad hopeful.
Yeah, it's still a decent way off it, isn't it?
Yeah, 28 away. 72 for 7. Barnard 21. Leach 6. Graham Onions is going to continue. 10 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 36. Getting Wayne Parnell since lunch. Parnell falling to his first delivery that he faced after the resumption. A ball that sort of pitched on off stump and hit the top of off from round the wicket to the left-hander. Terrific piece of bowling from Onions.
Some of the bowling this morning really has been sort of almost exhibition-like, isn't it? I mean, you look back at that delivery that Dell got.
Yeah, I
Perfect
had another
bowling.
look at that as well. That was incredible. Here's Onions bowls, standing upright is Leach, defending it back up the pitch, and there's no run. I finally, you'll be pleased to know, Scott, I have found the website where you get the video analysis, and it shows it up really well actually, and what a brilliant piece of work it was from Mahmood. As you called it right at the time, it just set Dell up with outswinger after outswinger after outswinger. You could really see it move away, and then the ball he got it bowled him with, just brought it back, and a peach of a delivery. Fantastic. Onions in and bowls, and he'll flick it down to deep backward square. Will Leach, they'll come through for 1. No chance of coming back and turning that into 2. He goes up to 7. It's 73 for 7. almost came back in as much as the others were moving away. And poor old Josh Dell, you can't really blame him for thinking that was going to shape away from him again. He played no stroke, and he'd just have heard that horrible clatter behind him as the off stump was wheeling away. But superb work from Mahmood. Onions bowls to Barnard again. He's not for the first time. He's tried to get out of the road. It's an unintentional boundary for Ed Barnard. Didn't really play any stroke at that. And in the end it's come off the face of his bat down into the ground and managed to navigate its way through the slip cordon away to the third man boundary. He won't care. He's got 4 more. He goes up to 25. 77 for 7. And he's played that sort of check. Am I going to play? Am I going to get out of the way? Shot a number of times. 2 slips. A gully. Played down into the ground to gully that time by Barnard. 25 from 61 deliveries. It's all about occupying the crease here for Worcestershire. Game has really rattled along and advanced thanks to this high class effort we've seen from the Lancashire bowlers this morning. Onions and Anderson in particular, and Mahmood really joining the party too. Onions now sneaking ahead, has 3 wickets, 2 to the other 2. And again steered to gully by Barnard. The end of the over, 11 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 41 now for Graham Onions. Leach has 7, Barnard has 25. 1 man out since lunch, Wayne Parnell bowled by Graham Onions for 5. And it's all the 7s for Worcestershire, 77 for 7. Now Scott leaves us to prepare to give an update to the listeners to the BBC across the northwest. Live County Championship cricket for you here on BBC Hereford and Worcester, 7:38 AM, and live around the world online on BBC Sport website and app. Jimmy Anderson preparing to continue.
Yep, he's into Leach from the Diglas end, and Leach plays forward to that, but the ball just sees past him and is taken by Villas, no run. And Anderson makes his way back to his mark. Leach just watching that one. Graham Onions furiously polishing the ball before throwing it back to Jimmy Anderson. Both of them with big red stripes on the backs of their right legs. Anderson makes his way in once more, and Leach waits. And repeat of the ball before, really. Leach just shakes the back close to him, but the ball's too good for him. Can't play at that. As Anderson and Onions and Mahmood have just worked their way through the Worcestershire team this morning, basically with some very high-class bowling, as Worcestershire knew it would be a test for themselves against one of the top teams. And Anderson in again now. Leach gets bat on this out to point. Josh Bohannon does the fielding. No run.
Play has been abandoned for the day at Welbeck. Notts against Hampshire. That match got underway yesterday. Notts 161, Hampshire 93 for 2 in reply, but no play before lunch and no prospects of any more action today, so the umpires have said that's it, try again tomorrow. Precious little action elsewhere. Also, day 1 has been abandoned in Guildford between Surrey and Yorkshire.
Anderson at the crease now, and Leach just looks to turn it on the leg side, but is undone by the ball from Anderson, and stifled noise from the slips, but no run of the ball, just a few metres out in front of Leach. He's finding it tough going out there against Jimmy Anderson. And this Anderson's 4th over of the match so far. 14th rather, not 14th. 12. 2 wickets to him, and again to Leach out on the offside, and Mahmood does the fielding as they go through for a single.
So it would seem that just us and Durham again are the only 2 matches with any cricket today.
I suppose the rain wasn't as far north, was it? So that makes sense.
Durham 63 for 5 after 35 overs at Chesterley Street against Northants.
Anderson, final ball of the over to Barnard, and this comes off an edge down to towards third man. Mahmood comes round and fields as they come back for a second, and Mahmood slips on the ground, loses his footing, and that takes Worcestershire's score up to 80 for 7 now.
Still no play at the Hampshire Bowl in the World Cup match between South Africa and the West Indies. South Africa 29 for 2 after 7.5 overs when the rain came there. No play yet at Canterbury between Kent and Somerset. Still hopeful of a resumption there. Here's Onions then from the New Road end. 3 slips in the gully to the right-handed Leach, who goes on the walk with this punchy defensive stroke. Straight out to cover, and there's no run. No action at Grace Road, Leicestershire, Middlesex at all today so far. So just here at New Road and at Chesterley Street, the only 2 matches currently define the elements. It's not bad here at New Road actually. The impending doom of the forecast yet to arrive. Up onto his toes goes Leach. They'll get a single here, but he's dropped into the offside, but it's sufficiently away from Alex Davis at cover so they can scuttle through. Leach up to 9. Barnard has 27. This is Ed Barnard's highest score since he made that 53 not out in the opening game of the county championship at Leicestershire a couple of months ago now. He's wanting a run here on the near side. This next delivery from Onions, he's going to get it as well because there's not much cover on that leg side. Jimmy Anderson strolls round at mid-on to pick it up at mid-wicket. Barnard's best is 25 since he made that 53 not out. That was in the first innings here against Durham. 0, 18, 6 and 11. And his scores since then. The all-rounder is doing well, 28. As Worcestershire look to get some kind of respectability. Well, there's plenty of respectability about that shot from Joe Leach. Lovely bend of that front knee and a extravagant follow through on the drive. Got right to the pitch of the ball. It was on the up, wasn't a half volley, and he smoked it to the fence. Well, Worcestershire have moved on to 86 for 7. They've lost another wicket since we resumed after lunch. Wayne Parnell perishing to the first ball of the afternoon session. He faced, bowled by Graham Onions for 5 around the wicket, the left-hander. No answer to another cracking delivery, but Ed Barnard is showing some fight. Joe Leach, the captain, weighed in with a couple of lusty blows as well. Barnard has 28, Leach has 13. Worcestershire 86 for 7 in the 34th over. Still no sign of the rain. In fact, Sal, it's got brighter, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got slightly brighter again. And I think, well, if the forecasts are anywhere near correct, then I don't think there's going to be much cricket around the country for the whole of these 4 days.
We almost should be off by now, by the forecast this morning, shouldn't we? But it's,
yes.
It's good from the cricketing point of view in terms of people who've come to watch that we're not. This is in the air for a while from Leach, but he's timed it well enough through mid-wicket to make sure it goes away for 4. So 2 boundaries in this over for Joe Leach. And that was a fairly low risk shot, even though it was in the air for some time, because it's a heavy offside field this. a 7-2 offside field, in fact. So there's plenty of margin for error on that leg side for the batsman. And Leach picks up 4 more. 94-7. Getting near the promised land of 3 figures here, Worcestershire.
Champagne on ice.
Well, I'm not sure what the promise is once they get to 100. At the end of the over, 34 gone, 90 for 7.
Here comes Anderson, then Barnard on 28. Anderson in and balls. He goes back and he defends. Leach in behind it, pushing it to mid-off. Onions fields, and there's no run. It's a rather bleak picture, isn't it, elsewhere today?
Well, just saying, Scott, yeah, as it's been today, it's only us and Durham that are putting the effort in, quite frankly.
Yeah. Others have been shoddy. I mean, a couple have been abandoned for the day already, haven't they?
Yes, the one at Guildford's gone, and the Notts game's also gone.
Anderson over the wicket, bowling to Barnard and going back and driving to mid-off, no run.
It's a shame because, I mean, hopefully, well, I don't say hopefully it's better tomorrow, but it's not. But this round of matches, particularly in this division, Worcestershire, Lancashire, Glamorgan, Derby, Sussex, Gloucester. So 5 versus 1st, 2nd against 4th, 3rd against 6th. Could have been a really interesting round of matches if we'd had a full day on each day and we'd had a full set of results, but the weather's going to certainly have its say in most of those, if not all of them.
Anderson to Barnard, clipped out into the onside, and Lee comes round from mid-wicket to field, no run. Yeah, it's at a point of the season now where, for this, if there is rain this week in this game, it will be a 3rd successive game that's been influenced by the weather. Lancashire played at Cheltenham against Gloucestershire 2 weeks ago, and that was affected by the weather last week against Leicestershire again. So in this middle block of kind of county championship fixtures, when you're playing successive games back to back, a lot can be decided. Anderson rather to Barnard, and the ball goes past and through to Villas, and there's no run.
Well, particularly, yeah, I mean, for Worcestershire, 20 points behind Sussex at the moment in 3rd. So if they were, I mean, let's take the weather out of it for a minute, if they were to lose this game, then they could find them, whatever happens to Sussex, of course, if Sussex win that game, they could find themselves already 40 odd points behind the final promotion spot.
Anderson to Ed Barnard, just dabs it into the offside, calls Leach through for 1. Barnard moves to 29. Score moves on to 91 for 7.
I mean, that's assuming a lot, given the forecast, obviously. But yeah, 40, 42 points, something like that, does seem quite a big gap, even at this stage of the season. It's likely to be very competitive, this division, right the way through. But likewise, flip it round, if they can get some decent results as well, and of course they're right back in it.
Final ball for Anderson. Ball into Leach. Oh, it's come off a leading edge, really. It's trying to work it leg side, just loops. And the way it kind of looped up into the air makes me think it just came off a thickish leading edge up towards extra cover. Anyway, he got away with it. It landed safely. He gets a run. He keeps strike. He moves to 18. And the score moves on to 92. So.
But it is hard to sort of take an optimistic bent at the moment in terms of what Worcestershire might get out of this game with them 92 for 7. But I think the weather is going to have its more than its say on this one. But we are playing longer than I perhaps thought we would be.
The groundsmen are now sitting on their
Are they poised?
tracks,
Maybe
they weren't there this morning, were they, on the track? So I don't.
They've looked ahead, yeah. But I think in the air at the moment. Here's Onions. Is it me? Is it me or you, Sal? Oh, he's bowled him.
You.
Me. Someone better say it. He's bowled him. Joe Leach has gone. Cracking delivery from Onions again. He's got 4 wickets now. 4 for 51. Leach has gone for 18. And Worcestershire are 8 down. 92 for 8. Again, a cracking ball that just tickled the bails. Squared Leach up. And the Worcestershire captain has got to go. And Worcestershire's miserable morning has continued into the afternoon session. Their captain is back in the hutch, and they've lost their 8th wicket.
Yes, it continues to be a rather bleak day, doesn't it, for Worcestershire? 8 down at 92 for 8. You mentioned the ground staff, the weather radar that I'm looking at here would suggest that perhaps a little bit of rain due in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So it might be a case of we suggested that by the time the rain comes, Lancashire might be batting. That still is a possibility. But they're just not. I mean, 92 for 8 obviously tells its own story. But you tend to find when teams, 20 for 3, 30 for 4, 40 for 5, that type of thing, they find a partnership to put something on the board to halt the flow of wickets and eventually have something to show from their first innings, something of 160, 170, even from such a difficult start. But so far, they've just not been able to find a single partnership here, and in danger of being bowled out for less than 100, which doesn't happen too often. As I say, more often than not, you get a 40, 50 run partnership at somewhere that gets you something on the board. Might well happen with these two, but they've just not really looked like really establishing any kind of partnership at all throughout the course of this innings.
No, not at all. 172, 154 at Old Trafford, 156 and 225 against Middlesex. They're the 4 lowest efforts for Worcestershire with the bat. This is comfortably going to write a new one, as Onions moves towards the new man Charlie Morris now. 92 for 8. Morris is going to get off the mark straight away. They might come back for 2 here, but they think better of it in the end. Mahmood is quick to the ball at deep backward square, so just a single it is. Yeah, I just had a replay of that dismissal from Onions. Another belting ball. I don't know whether there was a slight hint of an inside edge on Joe Leach's bat, not sure, but the ball just flicked the top of the bails on middle stump as it went through.
I'm wishing they had some of those bails in the World Cup.
Yeah. Where are the World Cup bails when you need them, eh? Onions past the umpire. Bowls of short ball, very, very short, and Barnard just bends at the knee, no more than that. And that goes miles over his head through to Villas. 98 for 3.
Well, it did happen. Was it the Durham game here or Middlesex game? You were commentating.
That doesn't help, Sal.
So they're not narrowing it down at all.
No.
Well, the ball definitely hit the stumps, didn't it? The bails didn't come off.
Oh, yes. Who was
So
that?
we do have them at New Road as well.
Barnard on 29. Onions bowls. He won't get a single here. It's a late cut down to Gully. There's no run. I can't remember who was batting.
We'll just run with it. Did happen.
It did. It definitely did happen.
It did happen at New Road earlier this season.
Yeah. 26, that partnership. That's the best of the Worcestershire innings so far between Barnard and Leach. As Onions eats up the ground now with those long strides. It's a cracking ball as well. Another beauty to Barnard. He's got 29 off 71 balls, but it's not helped him in as much that he can be made to look like he's only just come to the crease with this high quality seam bowling that we've seen from Lancashire today. Onions one away from another 5 wicket haul, and that one squared him up and left him off the pitch and whistled past his outside edge. 1 ball left of his 13th over. There's Onions bowls, and on the drive here is Barnard. He's going to get runs here, might even get 4, but I think it's just going to be pulled up in front of the ropes. It is. Alex Davis gives chase, and they're back for a second run. So Barnard is into the 30s now. He goes up to 31, and it's 95 for 8 at the end of the over. 36 overs gone. 13 overs, 1 maiden, 4 for 54 now for Graham Onions. Morris has 1, Barnard 31, 95 for 8 is the Worcestershire total.
Well, can we get to 3 figures? I mean, Barnard's 31 from 73 in the context here. It's quite a punchy little innings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Barnard.
Seems like he's enjoyed his morning out there to some degree, despite the situations they find themselves in. Anderson in again from Douglas End, and he's got him. He's got Morris this time as he's nicked from behind, and Anderson takes his third wicket of the session, of the match so far. And Morris has gone for one.
I don't think he was trying to play, was he? I think he was just trying to just took his bat inside the line, but just a little edge through to Villas, and
it's too good for him. Really.
It was, yeah. It's just, I mean,
deal with it.
It's that classic Anderson delivery where he's pitching the ball and just getting the ball just to move away enough, so you don't have to kind of commit yourself too much forward. You're uncertain as to play forward or to play back. In the end, you kind of caught between no man's land, and then he finds the outside edge. He's
get that nick on it.
Absolutely, yeah. He's done it for so many years now, Jimmy Anderson.
Yeah. Masterclass.
Lost 3 for 29, Worcestershire, in this little cluster since lunch.
Was you saying they're approaching the 3 figures score?
Yeah.
Get another one.
In 7 overs.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
Adam Finch makes his way out to the middle for his first class debut.
That's a new name to me, and that would be the reason why, if he's making his first class debut.
Yeah, promising, strapping fast bowler again from the realms of Shropshire, which has been such a rich vein for Worcestershire to mine over recent seasons. Joining his fellow Salopian, Ed Barnard, for these last few blows of this Worcestershire first innings. I've not seen him bowl actually, Adam Finch. In fact, I've not seen him play any form of cricket, so this is interesting.
He waits for Anderson now, and just a little waft of the bat, but that goes through to Villas again. Anderson will certainly enjoy this, and wants to get the new man out straight away.
He's performed well for England under 19s, hasn't he, with the ball? He's taken some wickets there in the handful of matches that he's played. Signed a new deal with the county until next year, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, he's been taking wickets in the second. Anderson into much more, and just takes a step forward, but high bat, and lets it go through.
He's playing because Josh Tongue has an arm injury. Worcestershire well stocked for seamers. There's some good bowling options, just the spinning department that's obviously a bit bare.
Anderson into Finch again. And once more just lets that go through to the keeper. So I presume that injury to Tongue is an injury in the last
Yes, I believe
few
it's
days.
quite a
wasn't
recent
mentioned
one,
at all
yeah.
last week. He was obviously in the squad. Do we know more than arm?
We don't know. No.
Anderson to Finch again, and this just goes out on the side.
Can't tell. I think it might be his right arm, but I'm not sure.
Right.
It's either his right or his left.
Narrows that one down.
Chance.
That's the standard you get with me, Scott, on here.
Expect nothing less.
Yeah.
What day are we again, Dan?
Don't ask.
Anderson to complete his overs. Finch waits again and drives that out in the offside, and they'll certainly get a couple here. As Josh Bohannon goes out to gather it in just a short way in front of the rope, in front of the marquee. And that will please Finch as he gets off the mark. It's 2 runs. 2 from the final delivery from Anderson's over. And Worcestershire 97 for 9 after 37 overs. And the sky does seem to be darkening again once more away past the ladies' pavilion. Slightly stormier blue colour coming into play.
There's still cakes being served at tea in the ladies' pavilion?
Yes, normally from 3 o'clock.
stampede for cakes last time I was here.
Yeah, there usually is, isn't there? Yep. We managed to get a bit of lemon drizzle last week.
Yeah, very nice.
And I think that was down to Jack Chantry playing the It's My Testimonial card.
Onions in balls, and Barnard just tried to glance that one down the leg side, stopped by Villas.
So it's my testimonial, any spares are coming my way. Thanks very much.
He went to serve them, didn't he?
He did, he served them, yeah. There's a picture of him on social media in his pinny.
That's why I brought you coffee buns as well, haven't I?
Yeah, you did. I'd say so. Well, brother.
Thank you. See you later.
Onions to Barnard, defends, no run. Well, hang on. Where was
Scott, you've come one game too late.
where was my coffee bun this morning?
I should have baked some yesterday. Oh, I didn't get back till approximately 7 o'clock. We had the day out.
Well, I'm not
so-
bothered about your excuses.
So it was too late to start baking.
Question is, Sal, what are we getting this week?
So I could do coffee buns again. I could do proper coffee. I could do the lemon drizzle. Mine's more of a lemon sponge drizzle.
Onions to Barnard, that is glanced down to fine leg for a single.
I am
Moves to 32.
known for the baking of the lemon sponge. I have to make it for numerous tennis matches when we're playing at home. We have to cater, and I always get
right,
asked to do the cake.
Right.
It's like your signature dish.
It is, yeah.
What do you
Whereas
fancy
the lemon
then,
or the
Scott?
coffee.
Well, I mean, I'm basically I'll eat anything. So.
Yeah. See, I'll eat anything cake-like.
Okay, I'll see what I can rustle up. It'll be for Wednesday though, I'm not here.
No, I'm not here
Can't
tomorrow.
make
Don't bring him tomorrow, I'm not here.
Onions to Finch, and he's defending from the crease. He's only me here tomorrow. It all runs down to Gully and there's no run.
Sitting in your ark.
Yes.
Sat here on my own watching it rain.
Just bring a raven with you tomorrow, Scott. Send it out a certain time. If you think it might be any prospects of play. I know Frank Watson is going to be with you tomorrow. Hopefully you'll do more than just watch the rain fall. Yes, I'll be back Wednesday for the rest of the game.
Onions over the wicket, balls to Finch, who leaves this ball through to Villas, no run. Remains on 2. The score is 98 for 9. It was 64 for 6 when play resumed after lunch. Onions has picked up 4 wickets. Anderson's now got 3. A couple for Mahmood as well. Barnard with 32 runs from 76 balls faced. Finch on the first class debut will be hoping it's slightly easier than when he's got the ball in his hands a little bit later on. So this will not be easy for him. He's Onions balls. Finch, he's playing forward again. He's a tall man and decent stride down the pitch, and he defends with a full faith in the bat. And the ball runs to mid-off. No run. It's the end of the over. 98 for 9.
Yeah, just a couple of runs away now from at least getting 100. That will cause some flicker. Worcestershire, they haven't been bowled out for double digits, although there's still danger of that, of course, especially with Jimmy Anderson ball in hand. Here he comes from the Diglis end. Ed Barnard has tried something expansive, and the finger does go up. I think he's tried to step inside the line and ramp it away. He's obviously tickled it down the leg side, and Dane Villas has taken the catch in the end. And just as we were saying that Worcestershire would at least get to 100, surprise surprise, they've been bowled out for 98. Ed Barnard trying something inventive, but perishing in doing so to Jimmy Anderson down the leg side. Anderson finishes with 4 wickets, just like Graham Onions does. 4 for 24 from 14.1 overs and 5 maidens. Worcestershire all out for 98. Barnard goes for 32.
I think that's what you call talking it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is emphatic as the scoreline would suggest, wasn't it? I mean, that is just an outstanding spell of bowling from James Anderson, from Graham Onions, from Mahmood as well, who's contributed with a couple of wickets. But Worcestershire have come up against, obviously, as good an attack as you are likely to see, certainly in this division and probably in county cricket this season, and they have just been pretty comprehensively blown away.
Yeah, it's got echoes actually, ominously for Worcestershire, of the Middlesex performance where their big gun bowlers finally stepped up. You know, Tim Murtagh, Tom Helm bowled superbly in that first innings. He bowled like the wind, picked up a fifer, and Worcestershire really had no answer to it at all. And it was a match where all of the Middlesex bowlers came to the party pretty much. And now Worcestershire find themselves in a similar predicament, or worse predicament actually, and against a side that has just been high class from ball 1 to the first ball of the 39th over, delivered by Jimmy Anderson. Anderson, Onions and Mahmood, particularly I'm impressed with. I mean, obviously Anderson and Onions, if you're not impressed with them, then something's wrong. But Mahmood, I thought, has been superb today. He's bowled with real pace and with real brain as well, and he's deserved his superb figures that he's got. He's more than played his part here for Lancashire, no mistake about that at all. And Worcestershire again have just had no answer. Yes, conditions have been helpful to the bowlers, particularly with a new baller and Anderson and Onions, but they've just been too good. And now it's really up to them to try and make inroads themselves as best they can.
He's in the ladies' pavilion. Mr. Bradley's announcing, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
As you say, Dan, it's just almost seems a different class, really, doesn't it? In the, like you say, you likened it to the Middlesex bowling attack, the Lancashire bowling attack. That's where you can just start to see a gap between perhaps Worcestershire and you know, although the opening batsmen aren't in form at the moment, it's the gap widens, isn't it, when you come up against these teams? And I know the Worcestershire coaches have said, oh, Worcestershire wants, you know, be testing themselves against the top teams in the division, but when you see that this morning in, like you say, favourable conditions, but it really does seem noticeable that they're not quite in the same league.
Yeah, it's been cavernous, the gap at the moment, but as the light roller goes on the strip at the moment, and the Worcestershire bowlers go through their final preparations here. Joe Leach, Adam Finch, Charlie Morris going through the drill with Alan Richardson. They'll just hope, Sally, that they can start quickly again and use the conditions as Lancashire have, and you know, try and somehow to wrestle back a bit of the momentum.
Well, exactly. The conditions are still similar. Obviously, it's getting a little bit darker now away from the cathedral as well. But there should be no reason why Worcestershire can't come out and do similar. Obviously, their batsmen, the bowlers aren't in the same, you know, the same household names as people like Jimmy Anderson and Graham Onions, but there's no reason why they can't use these conditions. And you've got Charlie Morris, who's taken 25 wickets in 4 matches in the Championship this season. He's second in the Division 2 in terms of wicket takers. So, you know, why can't he come out and take a few early Lancashire wickets?
Yeah, absolutely. And a big day too for young Adam Finch.
It would be interesting to see him bowling at New Road.
With no Josh Tongue, who's the second leading wicket taker this season for Worcestershire in the Championship. He's got 16. But Joe Leach is also into double figures. He's got 12 from the 4 games that he's played, including this one. But you also mentioned, Sal, the weather. That is pertinent because it looks pretty bleak over the top of the cathedral.
It's changed quite rapidly, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's looking like the wind is from west to east, as it's been for most of the morning. That's where the weather is coming from over the back of the cathedral, sort of as we look out here from our commentary position, sort of 10 o'clock. sort of over our left shoulders a little bit. And it sort of blows in over the ground and out towards sort of Lower Wick, St John's direction.
Yeah, because normally you'd watch the other side, and
Yeah,
that's where, although it
come
was
in the other way,
was
wouldn't it?
changing in terms of the sky colour and patches of darkness, that wasn't the weather we were going to then be getting. So we've done quite well to get to this stage, although I think it was Scott that was saying possibly sort of around this time, and we thought we might get another hour and after lunch, so whether that's what we're about to get. The groundsmen are just moving the covers around from in front of the marquee and the chestnut trees. The weather is starting to rain. It's hard to tell that there is an umbrella up on the Dollavera stand. A couple of umbrellas.
Here they come then. Here come the covers being driven onto the field. Stumps have come out the ground. This might be a little premature here in terms of hopes of getting a quick resumption. The vehicle is being detached from the front of the covers and they're going to be dragged on. So there's a little bit of drizzle in the air, yes. One or two brollies have popped up in the Basil Dollavera stand. Some of the spectators are standing and either zipping their coats up, or a lot of them are making their way down the steps from their seats and are making their way out. So
I don't think Wayne Parnell agrees that it's raining much. He's holding his hands out. He's wearing his cap, seeing how much it was raining, and doesn't.
Skies are pretty black though now, aren't they?
To agree.
Not completely, but there's a big dark sliver straight over the top of the ground.
It's just very sort of stormy grey behind that as well, isn't it? Compared to it was cloudy this morning, but it wasn't. This is now just solid grey rain cloud, isn't it? Which is what we've been told was coming in.
Yeah, it's sort of light grey over the back of the cathedral and then over towards, kind of directly above the cut square, which is now being covered by the covers. It's pretty sooty grey black. It's not a particularly wide band of
words for grey.
I don't know, a lot. Sort of pigeon grey, isn't it?
Dove grey in the background.
Grey. Yeah. Still the wind is quite strong. But the far side of the ground, sort of towards the east, is actually still quite bright. So it's not completely covered by any stretch, but clearly the groundsmen have seen the forecast, they're not happy, and now the additional...
picked up as well, hasn't it? If you look at the trees on that far side behind the Dollavera stand, away by the river.
I mean, there's a few brollies up, aren't they? And I think there is a little bit of rain in the air, but I do wonder if as you two were saying there, whether or not it's perhaps more precautionary because they know what is coming.
And as they weren't playing,
exactly,
you might as well take that precaution.
So we're not going to get a prompt resumption here, but we will update FM listeners in a second. See BBC Hereford and Worcester. Tammy, I've got some bad news really if you're a Worcestershire fan. 98 all out, the home side bowled out a few moments ago. The last man to go, Ed Barnard, caught behind down the leg side by the Lancashire wicketkeeper and captain Dane Villas off Jimmy Anderson for a well-made 32. Anderson finishing with 4 wickets alongside Graham Onions. Those two have been splendid. Saqib Mahmood also brilliant as well. He picked the other 2 wickets to fall. But Worcestershire have struggled from ball 1 really. Only Barnard with 32, Leach with 18 and Josh Dell with 18 made double figures. The rest, nothing really to write home about. Worcestershire bowled out for 98, but the Lancashire reply will have to wait. The forecast this afternoon is pretty wretched and the covers are on. Might be a bit precautionary, there doesn't seem to be too much drizzle in the air at the moment, but certainly we're not going to get a quick resumption of the Lancashire innings. The match has been delayed by a little bit of a drizzle, poor light and some rain on the way. So no play at the moment, but Worcestershire all out for 98.
The players are still warming up though, aren't they? The Worcestershire players are still going through or the bowlers are. I think the batsmen have scuttled back into the pavilion.
Yes.
I
So
can see the rain now, I think.
Yeah, it just looks a lot bleaker now, doesn't it? I mean, the
Well, they're bringing
skies
out
above the cathedral look pretty.
the big covers, aren't they, as well now, right across the square.
the big boys are coming out now. They're not hanging around.
They are quite big sheets, aren't they?
They're huge sheets. 4 ground staff tugging them on and under place, fixing them to the underside of the covers. So 3 of the 4 sides of the square now are under tarpaulin. Just 1 more to go. The wind has really picked up. Look at the trees there in front of the cathedral on the left-hand side, really straining under the weight of the wind. That flag on top of the cathedral really straining on its pole as well.
Well, the gap in play is giving Mr. Bradley more time to scrape at the window, though. Get some more scraping done while there's no play.
It's also just realised as well what a great effort this is, because it's not actually the window he's having to look out of, is it? I could understand if it was his main window.
I think is he trying to be able to see both scoreboards?
I suppose so, yeah.
He wants to catch those adverts for Love Island.
Are there genuinely adverts for Love Island here at New Road?
They spoke to me at the last game, and I
Outstanding.
said, why are they advertising that here at New Road? And lo and behold, they're on again.
Well, trying to appeal to a new audience on Love
look,
Island.
there it is. See, I'm not making it up.
Oh dear.
I'm going to stand by the gate and ask people as they come and go how many people watch it.
How many people have heard of it?
Yeah, that's probably a better question, actually.
But it's not actual footage of Love Island, is it? It's just a sort of a swimwear company, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
I
don't know.
Seems to be.
Well, why would it keep saying Love? I don't know.
Because it's something about it, there's a
anyway,
link
so
with Love Island.
I just think
rather
it's
than
funny
actually
that it's
being
on
from
at
the
New
show.
Road.
I don't know.
Well, a sponsor's a sponsor, isn't it?
It's true. The rain really starting to come down now. A few cars are tootling out of the car park as well. Some supporters adamant that they're not going to see any more play today. They might well be right as well.
There's still one hardy person though high up in the Dollavera stand clinging on to their brolly.
No, I will not be leaving.
There will be more play.
Will be more play. Until I hear something official, I am not going anywhere.
I'm not so sure if it's going to be absolutely kind of terminal for the day, because my trusty radar tells me again that this is what we've got at the minute. But then there's a little, by the time we get to kind of 3:25, it looks like we have a little clearer patch. I suppose it depends how heavy this is at the minute. But partly clearer skies are on the way after 3:30, so we might get a little bit of something in.
Can you zoom out on that and see exactly where on the whole sort of downpour we are? Are we right on the edge of it, or?
Yeah,
oh, I see.
The main body, the majority of it is across the south and east, across London up the east coast. And we've been quite fortunate.
We're right on the edge
of the main.
Well, this is the area that they were saying that's going to get the 60 millimetres or something today, and then it was just sort of catching the edge. But that's definitely changed from this morning, because this was.
It was all over.
A much bigger patch of rain.
We might not necessarily be completely done for the day.
No. I'm with you. I think it's a bit premature for them to be getting in their cars and heading out. It's really coming down now, though.
Yeah, there's certainly at least, you'd think, probably the thick end of an hour interruption here before it does blow through. Which I don't know. How do maybe Worcestershire look at this as being actually takes a little bit of time out of the game, and I'm sure that they'd be keen to try and have a ball with the conditions like this, and try and see if they can exploit it to the effect that Lancashire did. I'm pretty sure the Worcestershire boys would be quite happy with their feet up in the dressing room for a little bit and just take an hour or two out of the game.
And have a bit of a regroup. I think a lot of them will be saying, look, I guess there won't be too many fingers being pointed. They'll know how testing these conditions were this morning, as the rain now really hammering. You might be able to hear on our effects mic if I just turn it up. There it is. It's really starting to belt down now. Yeah, sometimes I think you just have to take your hat off and say the opposition are too good in the conditions, the class of the bowling. There's no disgrace really find yourself second best, and I think that was definitely the case this morning. They're okay, there are one or two shots, Ross Whiteley, Ben Cox's shots you may have said perhaps a little bit injudicious, maybe in the context of the morning and the situation Worcestershire were in, but they're all some absolute crackerjack deliveries. So as the rain really starts to sheet down here, it's probably wise that we just take a break, and if and when there is any update on any further prospects of play, of course we will bring them to you. So for listeners to BBC Hereford and Worcester's AM frequency, we'll now switch you back to Tammy's show on FM, Tammy Gooding, and the rest of you listening around the world, it will just be a silence until we return. Hopefully there will be something for us to bring back to you a little bit later, but from a very, very rainy New Road, with Worcestershire all out for 98 in their first innings, it's bye for now.